Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Mamluks podcast. My name is Sim. Along with me are my co-hosts, my man Mort from the show Muzzy Buzz.
What up?
And we got the Sultans and Sneakers host, Mahin Islam, and His Eminence, Amir Dawa, Shaykh Amir Al-Saidi.
How are
you? He said, I'm in a dawa. So I'm in a dola. He goes, I'm in a dawa.
Isn't that the same thing?
No. I'm in a dola is in like the national security, like the mukhabarat.
Yeah.
Amir Dawa is the National Dawa Association.
Oh, National Dawa. You meant to say dawa. I'm sorry. Okay.
That's what I said.
Okay, good. Awesome. My bad.
It's just that we don't.
Wow,
it's
man.
It's me. It's not you.
All right.
He's been learning on it. He's been learning Arabic, okay?
I know.
Sheesh.
From Jeremy McClellan.
Yeah. Anyways,
last episode on our previous episode, what did we finish off with? Because it's been a couple of weeks since we had this origin story thing that was going on with Shaykh Amir. We had Shaykh Amir talking about his
basically the last 2 years. We basically we kind of touched upon the Arab Spring throughout. I know there was an episode when we talked about the Arab Spring, but there's a few things here worth mentioning. So, me, Shaykh Thanallah, one of my awesome teachers, and my two fellow classmates, Hamad Rahman, Fahim Shaykh Hamad Rahman, and Suhail Mullah, we're all sitting in the masjid studying.
Suhail Mullah?
Yeah.
Is he related to Suleiman Mullah?
I don't know. I never asked him.
You know who Suleiman Mullah is?
No, I don't.
He's a...
Astaghfirullah. How come you don't know?
I don't know.
Suleiman Mullah.
Does Mullah mean money?
It means like
I think he's out of Canada, right?
Here we
Suleiman
go.
Mullah?
That's Suleiman Mullah, South Africa.
Is he?
Yes.
Oh my God. I can't believe this is happening. Anyways.
Our South African listeners we just lost all our South African patrons.
Our friend Mustafa is going to be very unhappy with you, Sheikh, if you don't know who Suleiman Mullah is.
I have like 4 Mustafa friends. But anyway, we're sitting down in the masjid and we're reviewing for some exams. And while we were studying, in the midst of it, I remember, I think it was the 25th of December. It may have been, or the 25th of January. 25th of December, I think. Yeah. And the guys, we were just talking. And they were like, what do you guys think of this whole thing that's going to happen with the uprising in the spring and the Arab Spring? Some of the guys that were with me, they were like, you know what, the police here is pretty powerful, it's pretty strong. They're not going to let anything happen. No one's going to have the guts to do anything, right? And I remember I was keeping tabs with you guys back home. It was cool. The information I was getting from you guys was different than what I was getting in Egypt. You know what I'm saying? I remember talking to you. I remember talking to, on the forums that we were on together, the Google forums. And
I was like messaging you, right? Because whenever revolution's in the air, old Sim is smiling and looking. Put me in, coach. Put me in. Sheikh Amir, do they need reinforcements?
Yeah, man. It was. It said me.
Put me in, coach.
So now all of this is happening. People are talking about what's happening with the Arab Spring. And I just say to them, man, you know what, guys? I think this can get really crazy. And they were like, no, inshallah. I was like, dude, inshallah, I hope too, man. But I think this is going to be really, really crazy and powerful. But I don't know what's going to happen at the end, man, So I think we should probably just consider this a little more and take safety measures and stuff. And people are like, nah, it's cool. A lot of people I talked to, it was cool. They were optimistic, So then I go into the masjid and I get home. I go into the masjid, my local masjid, and I see the OGs, the OG uncles that are always there, right? Yeah. For all the prayers.
Yani Ikhwan? Probably closeted.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, they were just really, really good dudes, man. Mm-hmm. Really good dudes, very welcoming. I got there a little late. They already prayed Asr, so I prayed Asr on my own. And I see all of them sitting around, and they never really hang out too much there after Asr, but they were hanging out, and they all looked very worried and concerned. And I was like, what happened? And they're like, we found out that Hosni Mubarak opened up the jails, or he ordered the jails to be open. And there's a lot of criminals that are on the streets now, and they're looting neighborhoods. And to as a not a decoy. What's the word I'm looking for?
As
To
a-
break up the protests in Tahrir Square.
So the Tahrir Square protests had started by then,
Yeah.
and as a countermeasure, Hosni Mubarak released prisoners out
Yeah.
of, and he's not releasing like Islamic prisoners or people who
Yeah.
are political prisoners. These are like thieves and rapists and,
Yeah.
and horrible individuals that he's releasing out into public.
Yeah. And I can't remember the gap between me and my friends talking and this thing happening. A lot of it's a big blur, man. You guys are going to find out why, inshallah. Because everything was happening so fast. I'm there with my wife and daughter. I know I'm there specifically just to study, but you kind of get reeled into other things too.
Yeah.
Like when even political talk happens, a lot of times people would say to me, dude, how come you don't talk about like politics or anything like that too much? I was like, dude, I'm here with my wife and daughter, you know, and it's like, I have to know that it's worth it if I'm going to, you know, because it's going to go directly to them, you know, they're going to be the first ones affected. And I'm actually not here for that. I mean, I'll have discourse. So when all of this started happening, there was a whole bunch of crime that was happening in our area. There were a few people that were shot or shots were fired. Some of them were rumors, some of them were real, so we didn't know.
So it's very chaotic.
It's very chaotic.
And
so,
this is, but for people who don't understand the Middle East, this is a common tactic a lot of the dictators use over there, releasing prisoners, because they want to also demonstrate that we were the people who kept the lid on the jar. We were the people who put had the lid on the Pandora's box of chaos. So even you'll hear about similar stories from Bashar al-Assad, and even before Saddam Hussein was tried, he did a similar tactic.
Yeah, man. So those uncles, they said something really cool to me. They were just like, you know what, we just have to be prepared, man. So if you have, you know, he's like, no one really has weapons, but if you have any knives and you haven't, I was like, okay, it just got real like that. But they were like the bravest people. Like you would think they were like frail and stuff, and they're like, no, we just have to be prepared, you know, and that's it. And I was like, okay, and I'm about to go home, and I was like, dang, should I just play it cool because my wife's gonna find out about it soon too, right? And you know, obviously she's away from home. I mean, we were in Egypt first time, her being away from family, and so I literally just go home. I just say Bismillah, and I was like, hey, listen, man, you know what's happening with all of this, and I was just at the masjid, and they just said because they've lived here for a long time, they know what can happen. So we just need to they told me, and I believe them now, that we should just strategically just set up knives and sticks or whatever, metal poles in our house just in case, because there's people that are just going in caravans and looting. You know, we don't know whose house they're going to approach, but supposedly they're going to be setting up some defense and, you know, a setup like that, right? So everything just started getting fast forwarded then. Then we had like a whole bunch of people, you know, going to the masjid and saying Salat al-Jama'ah, Salat al-Jama'ah, Salat al-Jami'ah, Salat al-Jami'ah, meaning everyone in the neighborhood come to the masjid, right? That's how it was always done in Islamic history, and that's how it's still done, instead of calling the adhan, right? So people come to the masjid and they're like, hey, what's going on? They're like, you guys know the news. We can't just sit around. We have to defend our streets, right? And in my mind, I'm not thinking like a foreigner anymore, and I'm just like, okay, this is really happening, right? So then the uncles that were there, they set a few people up, and they made a few announcements in our neighborhood. Every neighborhood did it slightly differently, and they got the names of the men of everyone on our street, basically, right? And they broke up into shifts, right? Like defending in basically the streets, because if cars are coming through, you have to check their ID, you have to see who they are, and they had like specific Egyptians were taking care of that, right? So it became a place of lawlessness, but there was many places that were conducting law very well of civilians, right? So these civilians basically, anytime a car drove by and they wanted to come through the street, like, oh, okay, yeah, I know him, or let me check your status. If it's someone they didn't know, like, okay, we don't know you. Anybody know this guy? You know, someone who's been living here for a long time. You guys recognize this person, this car? They're like, no. And then they would check their car, and like, dude, we have to check your car, right? For safety, because we don't know who you are.
Yeah.
Right? So the cool thing with me was, and all the brothers that live in Egypt will tell you, we always had this distance from the Egyptians, and we kind of regretted it. Because it was like, you don't know who you're talking to, and you might get some Egyptians in trouble, because sometimes the secret police will be like, why are you contacting foreigners? Why are you in friends with foreigners? So they're still in the mindset, even though we're students, in certain areas, in middle upper class areas, of what business do they have talking to tourists, basically, right? Why are they making friends with them if they're not linked to them or they're not consulted, whatever, their tour guide or whatever the case is. So we always had that thing where we were paranoid of also getting them in trouble. Some Egyptian was really cool, like, dude, I don't care. I've been to, and I've been in trouble with the law so many times, and I don't care anymore. Yeah, I'll hang out with you guys. I was like, all right, cool, and obviously we were a little paranoid. I think a lot of Americans that were there, when we think back, we were a little extra paranoid because of all the stories we heard and history and all that kind of stuff of Egypt and just the Muslim world. So I had the night shift, which was pretty cool. So when I told my wife that I have the night shift, dude, she was so cool about it. She's like, really? I was like, yeah. She's like, okay. The first thing, like, we kind of like talked about, like, together was like, we just can't keep like the knives in low areas because my daughter's there. And I was like, that's it? She's that cool with it? Like, and I just told her, like, reminded her, like, this can be pretty dangerous, but we're just going to wait it out. And inshallah, we're going to have a good security system. But, everything's in the hands of Allah and stuff. She's like, yeah, it is what it is. I was like, okay. That made everything easier. That's like one of those things when you're so worried about something and someone, but then you see Allah through all of that. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think, wait, did it just not register with her the danger in it? Or?
No, it registered. She knew. I mean, she's a very sensitive person, especially back then.
Yeah.
Women, as in the beginning of marriage, if they're very sensitive, they build tough skin and they end up becoming the aggressor. They're the ones who end up making you sensitive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that was a joke. But actually, I'm kind of serious. But, it's half true, half joking. But so then I was like, all right, cool. Now, the relationships that I started building with people that were living in an apartment building for 3 years, and I just was like, salam alaikum, salam, never really talked with them. Bro, the night shift was like so amazing because the gatekeeper, I became even closer with him. That guy barely has like any money. He's going to get like food for me.
Are there like tires burning and stuff like that?
Yes, there's tires burning in some areas. Yeah.
Do you guys have like campfires?
We had campfires and we're drinking tea. That's what was beautiful.
Oh man, that sounds like
it was cold.
Like,
it was cold season too.
I feel like there's like a lot of bonding going on.
Dude, there's so much bonding. I was like, and one of the guys I thought was Egyptian in my building, he was actually Palestinian. He was a professor. I was like, you're a professor? Yeah, he's like a professor of history and this and that, and
are there like buildings on fire too?
No buildings. I didn't see any buildings on fire. I
They're
saw
probably
some
just
people
burning
burning
trash
tires.
in the street.
Yeah, there was some areas.
I'm trying to add some
areas.
Yeah, but I remember just trash burning in the street. So
yeah,
they would just fill the bins up with trash and burn them.
some of them, yeah. But some of those bins that we used to burn just for heat because it was so cold in some of those nights, right? And when we started having a few close calls, that's when everything became really chaotic, dude. Because we literally are just patrolling and we're talking, and you have people just holding sticks, people holding knives, but everyone's cool with it. We know, that's like the cool thing when everyone has like weapons, you know that no one's gonna harm you. You know what I'm saying? Because you all know each other. It's like it was kind of like that, So some people had daggers. So there were two guys on our street. This is where things got crazy. There were two guys on our street who had guns. One guy had a rifle. One guy had a handgun. Cool. So the guy with the rifle was like I want you to imagine it's like an entrance. I live almost close to the entrance of one side of the street. And the other side of the street, I barely even go there except if I have to go to like the store or something. We just walk through there. I never really spent time with people over there. So they kind of divided the street in half. Whoever lives on this half of the street stays here and defends this side, and this opening over here. Cool? So let's just say I was on the right side. If you walk out of my building. And everyone was kind of just putting their trust in that dude who has a rifle because he's the only one who has a gun. And he's kind of telling people what to do, and he's really good with like hunting. He goes hunting, and he knows how to use his gun and all that kind of stuff. So he's giving us pointers, and like see if you can access guns. He's like, I'm talking to my friends, but it's so scarce. Guns are very scarce. People who are well connected.
I wouldn't give anyone pointers.
Yeah,
in the land without guns, the guy with the gun, he's the king.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, something to worry about then, right? So what happens is we hear a few gunshots from some other streets down, and everyone. It's like, okay, somebody's coming and the thieves are coming, and that's what they would say. And everyone just get all riled up, but there's no organization. Everyone's just literally running around like ants everywhere. And I'm literally looking at this. I'm like, dude, we are screwed if this keeps happening. Wallahi is what I'm thinking. Because everyone's just like, and they heard sounds over there. Everyone leaves. And I'm here, and there's other dude that's their old dude. I'm like, where the heck did everybody go? We can't do this. Like, this place is so, like, what if that's a decoy? They're setting us up. Bro, I start sweating. I'm like, dude, is this, like, it? Like, What if there's like a decoy coming from the other side, right?
Bro, this sounds like the archers at Badr or Uhud.
Well, that's actually a pretty cool observation. So the guy that I happened to be sitting with, he used to be in the army. The old guy I was saying that stayed back, and a few other guys. There were some kids there, and I was like, you know, this can't happen, right? I was like, you know, if one side, everybody goes there, like, look, it's like you and me here.
Yeah.
Like, is this smart? He's like, no, man, what are you gonna do, man? People are stupid and stuff like that, you know. He's like a guy. He's probably over his 60s. He just like stupid people, you know, in youth with just lots of passion. I was like, yeah, I get it, dude, but this can be life and death, you know. We really didn't know what the series was. The realm of the unknown, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, dude, we have to do something. Like, can you organize something? I mean, you were in the army. Do people listen to you? He's like, yeah. I was like, can we like organize something, and then when they come back, we can just talk about it to them? He's like, all right. And I still remember, wallahi, I was telling my wife about this too, like the day this happened. I was like, okay, why don't we do this? Why don't we have people in the middle of the street, one on this side and one on this side, so we're basically protected from all three areas. And if somebody is known to come from this side gets on their defense, and some people from here. You know what I'm saying? And if it's from that side, some people from here, and we have to contact the other guys from the other side because because the other guys on the other side did the same exact thing.
Yeah.
They all left and they went towards that sound that they heard. And it ended up one of the times, it happened like 4 or 5 times. One of the times there was a tire popping, like, but it was really, really loud, you know? And one of the times it actually was a thief. Someone actually did get shot in our area, right? One of the thieves got shot. So I was like, okay, so can we like make an announcement and do this? And I was like, okay. I was like, though, can you do it though? Because I don't obviously I don't speak Amir like they do. Like, who's this guy? All of a sudden, he's not really us, and he's speaking Fusha, and like what the heck who is this guy? Right? I was like, do you think you could tell them like exactly this? He's like, yeah, it's a good idea. I was like, are you sure? I was like, because you're like the dude from the army. Do you think this is tactical? Like, this is all we're working with, right? And then I start thinking to myself, I'm like, dude, am I the right person to be talking about this? You know what I'm saying?
Because for people who are confused, because Shaykh Amir knows Arabic, but he's speaking Arabic in the very purest terms. Like, he's like...
There's some words here and there that I know.
Like, like some of my Arab friends have heard Shaykh Amir speak, and they just speak about how beautiful his Arabic is. You know,
yeah, it's just Fusha.
I mean,
all it is,
I mean that's because they're Arabs themselves, and they speak in their own native colloquial language. Yeah, and they're like, "Whoa, his Arabic is so beautiful."
Yeah. I was like, dude, you know this language. You just need to review it. That's it. But so everyone gets back together. And one of the guys, that dude's son, he's like, all right, guys, we got an announcement to make. We're going to make an announcement. And that dude, I was like, all right, can you tell them now? He's like, all right, what was it again? I was like, all right, dude, I'll tell you and you tell them. This is all happening while everyone's waiting for this guy to talk. Yeah. But I'm like the only foreigner there now. So this becomes problematic. It's like, wait, this is getting weird, right? I'll tell you what I mean by that. So I tell the guy, all right, everyone stay. We got to break the group up into 3 on each side of the street. One side has to stay here. One stays in the middle, and one stays over here. Cool? And then he announces that, all right? But they're still kind of talking and stuff. And then I say, okay, but tell them if something happens here, these guys get attentive, but these guys have to stick over. They can't move from here, right? And these guys in the middle kind of just look towards them and just be prepared. But, you know, just in case it's a game, because people can be playing games and tricking you, right? Yeah. So everyone's like, we got it. Like, all right. So they gather. They literally make 3 groups. One group here, one group here, one group here. 20 minutes later, another really loud sound, like almost like gunshot. Hear people screaming. Everyone just runs over there. Everyone, dude. I was like, no, where are you guys going? No. And the guys, I told you, he's just sitting down in a chair. I told you, youth, they don't know anything. They're stupid. I was like, no, dude, we gotta really do something about this and that. And after that, we were just kind of laughing about it. Then I was like, I literally thought to myself, I was like, only Allah can help us. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't depend on tactics of people all the time.
Because they're not soldiers.
Obviously, they're not soldiers. So. Obviously, they're not. None of us are. Yeah. Right? And then I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, all right, dude, you know, and everyone were just kind of laughing. I was telling the guys that were in my apartment that I was cool with, and I was like, dude, we just did all this planning. You guys all left. Like, yeah, what are you going to do, man? You know? Then they start joking. Egyptians were really emotional. We're very passionate. I was like, I get it. That's awesome. You know, and then we start joking around about it. I don't want to talk about it too much. And then, you know, we pray Fajr, and then we go home, and then I went to sleep. I go to sleep basically on the couch. Like, but just sleep by your door. So, you know, if you can hear us very well, don't sleep somewhere you're not getting too much of a deep sleep. So I was sleeping on the couch, basically right by the entrance of my door, and went to sleep. And then the morning shift guys just are there. Morning shift is a little easier because there's something obviously about the night, right? Morning time is Easier meaning that there's not like too many close calls, at least in our area. Meanwhile, while all this is happening, I mean, I'm thinking about school. Is school going to be canceled? Is school closed? I'm contacting some of my guys. They're like, yeah, there's definitely going to be cancellations, and a lot of us are just going to travel back. We're going back. And my cousin Bilal, he used to live in Egypt too. When I was a bachelor, he basically lived in the apartment that I was living in. I got him hooked up with those guys there. And he knows Egypt pretty well. He loves Egypt, just like I do. And while all this is happening, I'm literally outside at night, patrolling the next night. And he calls me and he's like, hey, assalamu alaikum, the regular talk, how's everything going? What are you doing? I was like, yeah, man, I'm just out here, just chilling outside. And he's like, hey, man, you know what? I think you should come back, dude. I was like,
wait, Bilal studying Arabic?
Bilal said he was, yeah.
Yeah, he was there for a while. And he was just doing other things. He just went to regular school there.
He was at, I think, he was, I don't want to talk
American
about his personal
Cairo.
life. Yeah. I was going to mention everything about him, but yeah. But he was the only one actually like really staying in touch with me about, how's everything going, come back and that kind of stuff, right? So a few days go by, I'm not really thinking much of it. He calls me again. He's like, hey, man, did you consider anything? I can book tickets. I got a good hookup on tickets. And, he's one of our guys who's always like, got these very interesting hookups in all these places. So he's like, I can get you some tickets. Don't worry about the money. When you come back, you guys can just take care of it because I need to book it with my account or whatever the case was. I was like, I'll think about it and stuff like that. I'll do istikhara and stuff. He said, okay. So I think a day went by, and all that's for some reason very blurry to me now, even though I knew it very well a few years ago. I did istikhara. I did istikhara, and he basically called me 2 days after I did istikhara. And I'm out at night again, patrolling at night, right? And drinking tea with the guys, just having a few close calls and all that kind of stuff. And he says to me, it was cool. I told him I was going to stick it out a little bit, it's fine. And he's like, I said, it would be really cool if you were living there alone, that'd be fine. But, and he's like 4, 5, 6 years younger than me. And he's like, you don't want anything to happen and something to escalate, and then you can't leave. There's something about that word. As soon as he said the word escalate, wallahi, there's something that happened in my heart. And I was like, you know what, dude, you're right. There's something about that word that just clicked very, very strongly. And I was convinced that I had to go. Right? So he booked some tickets, and I'm still thinking, and I'm like, dude, I'm like completely out of the zone of studying. Is this permanent? Like, I start having this thing with myself. Like, am I going to get back into the zone of studying because reality was so real? Am I going to be like, you start thinking all these things.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
because this is like, it could be your last stay in Egypt, and you're worried whether you'll be able to complete your studies
Not
there.
even about completing, but like, I felt like, when you're so consumed with studying, and then you have this real imminent danger at your doorstep. And then it's some people, and it's rightfully understood. It's understood that they completely just left that path. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's what was going through my mind too.
The rug's getting pulled from underneath.
Yeah, yeah. And then I started like questioning myself. I was like, is this like a weakness of faith? Is this a weakness of iman? You kind of go through that roller coaster, and those questions, you start questioning yourself.
Nope. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, me and mine, like, what are you talking about?
Roller coaster, Iman, what?
Revolution? Save people? Psh, I'm out of here. I'm going back to make that.
No, if you guys were in that situation, you guys would understand, inshallah. It's...
No, that's not understand. We just don't have Iman level. We just be out.
No, I don't believe that. But anyways, dude. So we start. He's like, all right, I'm booking some tickets for you.
I probably would have joined the Mubarak's army.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Don't shoot.
I
Don't
love
shoot.
you. Robert De Niro, we love you.
I could see
Robert De Niro.
I could see Mort on a tank with one of those people, or one of those mukhabarat paddy wagons.
Mukhabarat paddy wagons, the blue ones.
Oh
I was
God,
with you all along.
Those things, like, man, I remember I used to duck and dive those things, man. I still remember the face of one of them, dude. Like, he'd be mean mugging me. He was waiting to catch me, and he'd be like, oh, like he had like this look, like he knew like I was up to something, like. I don't know.
The problem was, man, sometimes you saw those guys in the masjid too, right? Like they
this is the guy that we saw in the masjid.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
when did you leave? When this is up?
2009?
Yeah.
At beginning of 2009?
Middle. Yeah, beginning.
I think beginning.
Yeah. But I think, you know what it was like? It was like the masjid was like the neutral zone.
Yeah.
So if you saw somebody like you knew there was people there who were gonna rat on you and people were gonna pick you up, but it was like that was like Friday was neutral zone. Like you walk in there and no one could touch you. Like it was just like maybe on the outside they might get somebody, but like in the place, like while you were getting your shoes or making do like just around it was safe. But anytime after like 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock on Friday, between like 11 and like 4 or like 3, it was like a neutral zone.
Yeah, man.
And you could
that's when you realize the masjid is a special place, though.
Yeah.
You know what? It's all awesome.
But that masjid, I remember that specific masjid we were in. I remember one day we came and like they just changed the khatib.
Yeah.
He was just gone.
Yeah,
Like, who's this guy? And he was a guy who was clean shaven. Yeah. And you could tell like he had like a total like inexperience. Just first time. Someone just shoved him up there.
Yeah.
And we were like, it was just, I don't know. Ever since that day, I'm like, I felt like something was just wrong. Like it lacked.
I feel you, man.
Yeah.
Isn't
it was
that
just
common in
really
Egypt to have like no beard though? Like they call it the Egyptian beard.
I think people you have people who were there in the 70s and the 80s or know about it in the 70s and 80s, and they brought it back to how it was when we were there. When we were there, a lot of the youth, remember, man, the Salafi movement was pretty strong. Ikhwanis were pretty strong. And the Salafis of Egypt, I mean, I didn't know too many of like the Madkhali type. I knew like some really chill dudes.
I mean the old school
They
type.
all had beards, dude. Like, everywhere I went, I saw niqabs and beards, bro.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, the people that had beards, like, people, you could easily identify them. And even the ones, like, okay, the ones that were generally, like, cool with the government, like, you had a stubble.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, HT's gonna hate me, but it's like the HT beard. You know, like, the stubble, like, it was like, but, and I mean, it just looks like that, right? It wasn't like a full
Just say
beard.
tape beard.
Yeah, it was like,
well, 3 o'clock shadow, not even 5
but I mean,
o'clock.
but there were people who had, like, I mean, but technically a beard like yours was still considered to be a beard because by their standard. So some of the khatib just basically had that kind of beard, but we knew they were still like, you know, kind of somewhat down,
Khatib
right?
Yeah.
Right.
What about me?
Well, you just look like
I have a bald spot
No,
on my
really
beard
nice, though.
right there.
yeah.
That's a beard, dude.
We're just waiting for
I
you.
can't grow hair here.
We're just waiting for you to
That's a dope
mature.
My man Human's telling me to
Yeah.
put
So when you
some.
become a man, then
he's
you
saying
know,
put some
have to
Rogaine on here.
assess.
That's what Humam's. You know Humam, right?
Yeah.
Umam?
You need to put
Humam
Rogaine. You need to put
Kush Kashmir
Rogaine
Zaid?
on your face, dude.
Huh?
You need to put Rogaine on your face.
That's what he said.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
what Humam.
So is it working?
No, I didn't do it.
Oh, okay. Anyways, so why are you talking
about
I don't care too
Anyways.
much about beard.
Yeah, it looks dope. So,
no, but I was gonna say like that part was like, but wait, was Bilal? He was like living downtown though, right?
when he first got there, and then he moved to the apartment that I was living in, closer to Masjid Bilal.
Oh,
The funny thing, he's living closer to Masjid Bilal.
yeah,
The
but
name
no,
of the masjid was Masjid
but
Bilal.
I remember. Did we meet him? Was he the one in Zamalek? Or like in
Did he go to
Qahira al-Jadid?
Zamalek?
He was somewhere in that area, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
he was in New Cairo, I think.
Yeah, I think it was
Somewhere,
okay, yeah.
Garden City. I don't know. Sorry, Bilal, to talk about.
By
that
the way, this
personal.
guy Bilal, he has the most amazing eyes in the world.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna tell you that right now. Like I remember him as a kid. When he would look up, like you would be just mesmerized because he had like these ruby emerald green eyes, and you're like, wow, like what? Like it's just one of those things that you're shocked by.
Yeah.
You know, like he's like, wow, what the
Yeah.
hell? Like, how did you get those eyes?
Yeah,
Like,
no, him and his siblings were like, when they were little kids, they were the cutest kids in the world.
Yeah.
And when you first said eyes, it reminds me of the Melania Trump meme you sent us the other day.
That was pretty funny. That was sent to me too.
Yeah. So so now you were.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Anyways. So, and again, guys, just listeners, there's a lot of patchy areas. I might just be mixing up some of the order, but you guys will just get the reality of what.
Hey,
it was
I have
like.
a question though.
Yeah.
So like when you finally had that plan that came together on the road, were you like,
What plan?
you know what, the putting like people in the corner in the middle, like right when they first listened to you, right? Did you feel like Hannibal from A-Team and like I love when a plan comes together and like smoke a cigar?
The plan never came together. The plan never came
You
together.
know what I'm saying? Like, I love it when a plan comes
they all abandoned their posts.
Yeah. And
Abandon your
you
posts.
can't blame them either.
But you know
dude.
what's funny? Like that's a total Arab thing to do. No, honestly, it is. It's a
So
total
what
Arab
you're-
thing to do.
Arabs run away? Is that
No,
what you're saying?
not. I'm not wrong. It's just that like meaning that like everything is planned, but when chaos happens, it's like everyone just goes
I think
everywhere.
this is everybody though.
I think,
Yeah.
I
That's
think
with
it's with
everybody.
all
No,
of
no,
them.
no. I'm
Because
saying,
they're not specialists. They're not like
I'm
they're not
saying-
soldiers.
Listen.
Yeah.
But I understand because it's not just they ran away, but they're just running like emotionally about to go attack something. They don't even know what the hell it is. That's not like that's Arab thing. Everyone's going to jump on something over there. They don't know what the hell is over there. They're just going to jump on it, hoping something's going to be there because they heard it, right? And
you
like,
should know better, okay? You're some Arab.
yeah,
lineage,
but that's
so-
what I'm trying to tell you. But
Yeah.
anyway, so I get it. Like they just think that the whole mob is gonna just beat that thing. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
idea. No matter how much you tell them, they're not gonna listen to you
I see what
because they
you're
all
saying.
think they know better.
I see what you're saying.
You know?
I see what you're saying. So the interesting thing now is, he books my tickets, and I talked to my brother. I was like, "Yo, he just booked some tickets and stuff. Do you think we could just work the finances with him and stuff?" Yeah, my brother's like, "I got you." My brother always had me. Mashallah, man. It's like I think almost like a week later, 4 days to a week later, I think. The interesting thing is I had a weird incident those days where, since I was the only foreigner there, the guys, they just started asking, like, dude, there's no more Americans left here. Like, the whole building with all the foreigners, why is he the only one here?
Yeah, suspicion.
And they're like saying, and I'm like, dude, I'm like right here. Like, they don't care about secrecy. It's like, okay, isn't he American? He's really asking, like, while we're like chilling. He's like, yeah. It's like, why is he still here? He's looking at his friend and talking. And I was like,
did you look at him like
no, but he has a point though.
Yeah.
I'm like, dang, that looks messy.
Like, cause أنا غبي.
Yeah. I should have said that.
Wait, who's the Gumby?
Gumby. What was Gumby's horse's name?
Who? Gumby.
Gumby, the clay animated dude.
Yes, he just said Gumby.
Okay, no, Gumby. It just means like, but what? Who's Gumby's horse?
That means mental.
Yeah, Gumby, not Gumby. Not
Can't say
Gumby.
that. Oh, can't say mental.
With the rain. Say rain.
Can you say rain?
Rain.
Yeah.
Why is that rain?
Gumby.
Why is that rain?
Dude, it's all good.
He said
It's a victory,
again.
bro.
He think again.
It's a victory, bro.
I don't think you guys
Can you
should
say
use.
Rabi?
I think you should say the proper term.
Okay, so can you say
For-
Rabi?
For
Rabi is actually
hubby, I
proper.
think the proper term.
Rabi is Fusha. Actually, Rabi is Fusha.
Why is that? Why is that Fusha? I thought, isn't that you're just saying?
No,
it
I mean,
as
we
a
use it in
derogatory
slang too,
term.
but Rabi is also a Fusha word.
It's a derogatory word. It's okay. Who cares, bro?
But
Hey,
can you say
can you not call him
But
derogatory
I want
terms, bro?
I didn't. I called
He
you
doesn't
that.
like.
But
Just use the proper term,
No,
okay?
no, but can you
Just
say the word?
Just say Down syndrome, okay?
No, it
doesn't mean Down syndrome. It
No,
just means
Rabi
someone-
means stupid, like a stupid person.
Yeah.
So like ignorant, like stupid ignorant.
Yeah.
But can you say Rabi?
Rabi.
There you go. He got it, bro. He got it, bro. It's
I
a
know.
victory. It's
That's
a victory.
good. Not bad.
bro.
Not bad.
It's a victory.
Bro,
Fist
I'm
bump,
from
fist
Medina,
bump.
bro.
It's
You
a
guys
victory.
act like
Bro,
you guys.
need me to hang it.
You guys.
So-
I was born in the dark.
in the
you guys
desert.
merely
I was born in the dark.
adopted
No,
the
I was
dark.
Born in the dark.
No, I
What does
think
that
you
mean?
mean
You know what I
were
mean? You know
born-
how what's his name Bane says in Batman? I was
Oh,
born in the dark.
Yeah.
You merely adopted the dark. Okay.
That's actually.
Wow.
So I mean,
Very profound.
I was born in the light.
I like
He
how
was
he looked at to Medina. Though.
He
I was
was
born in the light. You guys merely adopted the light.
he was born with sand in his nostrils and dates in his palates. That's how he was born.
Mashallah. Must be nice.
And a red and white checkered over his as a diaper. That's what that's he had a shemag.
He's happy now.
He had a shemag as a diaper. That was
Shamaga. So I start sensing
Don't you
some
think my
weirdness.
last name should be Al Madani, Sim Al Madani,
I think Al Ghabi.
or Imran Al Madani?
We should call him Imran.
Al Ghabi. I think
Al-Madani.
Al Ghabi is good.
I still have a hard time calling you Imran because you don't look like Imran to me. You look like another word to me, but I can't mention on air because you don't like that name anymore. But that's who you are in my heart, bro.
I'm gonna murder you.
No, but actually,
I'm not gonna say
wait,
it.
were you born in
This
Medina
will be
or on
Shaykh
the outskirts
aside.
of
You know what
Medina?
Shaykh aside is?
No.
The killing of a Shaykh.
That's a possibility. Hey, I wouldn't mind.
Wait, were you
Will
born
be-
in Medina or on the outskirts of Medina?
Well, we're gonna move on to the Sheikh's subject. Let's go ahead. Sheikh, can you
that
move on?
probably means that he was not in Medina
Because
proper.
be quiet.
You know who else was born in the outskirts of Medina, right? The Jal.
Anyways, dude.
I had to. I love
He's
you.
chilling in Neum now, so whatever. So that'd be awesome if he just migrates to Neum. Anyways, now things are getting a little weird, and I was like, you know what? I think maybe this is a good opportunity for me to start.
What
my
do you
process.
do? Wait, hang on. These two are
You
laughing.
can't just look at each
You
other's
can't- you can't be
phones
watching
and
the-
start laughing.
Someone says my little brother says Sim looks like a Ninja Turtle.
That's actually a compliment, bro.
But that's
I
I'll
love
take that
it.
as a compliment
I
because
know.
you know what?
Ninja, go Ninja,
Raphael was my favorite Ninja Turtle when
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
young.
I like
but
Raphael.
Bro, do you know the movie? Go Ninja, go Ninja,
Yeah, yeah,
go,
yeah, yeah.
go Ninja.
and well, I like Raphael because of his humor. It was sarcastic humor, and that's
Yeah.
how I adopted my own
What was the
sarcasm.
thing?
Is that
think-
what it- is
Yeah.
that what it- oh,
what was
wow.
the thing? We would say Cowabunga, dude.
Yeah.
I remember that.
It's alright, just don't. This is
Casey
just, If we
Jones.
start talking too much about this, it's gonna get cringy, bro. Just stop, please.
Casey
Ninja
Jones?
Turtles. Yeah, bro.
Casey
He started talking
Jones.
about Vanilla Ice in the first movie and all that.
Yeah,
kind
well,
of
that
stuff.
No, that's the
Ooh.
second movie, dude.
I
like-
did with Casey Jones.
Casey Jones was the first one.
Was it?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
forgot. Oh, Shredder returns.
Yeah, Shredder.
Okay,
it's
go
a
ahead.
super shredder.
Yeah.
He's like he drank the whole vial.
Yeah. But you know why this is
He
relevant?
sounds just like them.
Can we move on?
No, this is relevant because
Dude, we're gonna have to cut this
I'll tell you why
whole
this is
part out.
relevant. Because this was the hit movie while Amir was in Egypt.
No, it wasn't.
It was playing in the theaters. Yeah, it just came out.
Oh, you mean in Egypt?
You're such a liar.
Yeah, it made like 10 years. I mean, it just came out in the theaters in Egypt.
Oh, you mean Egypt that really came out then at that time?
No.
Oh,
Dude, a lot of movies are released
I'm just
first.
kidding. I was saying Egypt was behind in terms of the movie. So, it just
So
came out
one
in
of the
Egypt.
jokes we have with Shaykh Amir for the listeners is that he doesn't know when a lot of these movies came up because he was studying in Egypt. So we mess around with him a lot with movies that he should have watched or he was supposed to
Should
be in
at
the
least
loop
known
of.
about.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
wait. Can we provide some context here? When Shaykh Amir came back, like me and Sim just knew all the slang. I think Amir actually, it wasn't even anything new. I think Amir just forgot. So he literally spent like a month and a half, 2 months on Urban Dictionary. And he would be texting me all night, hey, do you know what this word means on Urban Dictionary? Do you know what this means? I'm like, yeah, Amir,
that's a
you
little
speak English.
blown over.
No,
That's blown
it's not
over.
blown over because
He's
he's
the one that introduced me to
Wait,
Urban Dictionary.
He didn't
He
know what
used to talk-
dingleberry meant.
Dude, stop. That's
Don't.
disgusting, bro. Please,
Mort. Please.
Everybody knows what dingleberry
No,
means.
Mort,
Morty,
no.
Morty, why are you? Okay,
Wow.
Morty, well, you're just like Cartman, man. You're just like Cartman from South Park. That's who you are.
Disgusting, bro. Anyways, dude,
Look at it.
where did we?
Found out the face that he made.
How do we digress, dude?
the comment about the Ninja Turtle.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
dude, that's what.
Are you done, Mort?
No, it's okay, bro. With his Aldi water bottle, bro.
So
but
yeah,
anyways,
Shaykh did talk like 1995 when he came back.
hey, it's all good. It happens.
okay.
It's
Oh
good.
my
It's
God,
good.
I
That's
love
why I have my
Amir.
loved ones. That's why I stuck with my loved ones.
It's okay.
I love you, man.
I
Honestly,
love you too, bro.
Honestly, my life would be dull without making fun of you.
Good. I'm glad. Well, I'm gonna tell everybody how you. Anyways,
Tell him. Go ahead. I have no problem. I have no shame in my game.
I know I will. It's gonna be fun. Don't worry. I'll save it till the end.
Yes.
So we start preparing to head back to the States, and now I'm just thinking in my mind, you know, this is it for right now. We don't know what's gonna happen as far as studies and school. We don't know. People started to make up rumors. Oh, all the Islamic universities got targeted or they burned everything up and they destroyed it. People were saying that Siraj Mall was completely destroyed. There were so many rumors of malls, and so I'm just like, all right, dude, is this like the end of like Egypt, studying Egypt? I'm really thinking this. So me and my wife, we pack up really quick. We packed everything we could. And obviously my daughter was with us too. And our flight was early in the morning, and we had to employ this one Uyghur brother that was there studying, but he drives taxis and he drives people around. He's kind of like a tour guide too, and that's how he makes money. A lot of the foreigners, the Asian foreigners and stuff like that, just that's how they made money with their cars and stuff. So I get in touch with him, and he's like, you know, I'm going to pick you up at around 3 a.m., 4 a.m. And, you know, once you get to the airport, we're fine, but it's going to be late, so we're going to have to go through a lot of stops and stuff like that, you know, checkpoints and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh, man, really? Because I used to see that happening, like, you know, there's like, by the time I was leaving, there was like checkpoint every like 100 yards, bro.
Oh yeah, and the flights to America were always like 2-3 a.m. in the morning. They were
Yeah.
never like in the afternoon.
Yeah, actually, I think my flight was at 6, but I had to get there at least 2 hours early. So I left earlier than that. And the guys like, we
Yeah,
have to
they
leave
were like
earlier than
super
that because
early. I
of
remember that.
checkpoints.
Yeah.
He's like, it'll be like a half an hour drive maybe because the checkpoints will probably take like an hour to get there. So I'm like, oh, darn it, dude. We got to go in the heart of all of this.
And wait, were the tickets like super expensive back then? Or
No, they weren't. Actually, they weren't that expensive, to be honest with you.
like $700. Yeah.
Maybe one way $650, I think
No,
it was.
at that time the flight it wasn't like an international thing. It was just
Yeah.
still like everything would go back to normal. Like in a
Summer
little
is
bit.
when they get expensive.
Yeah.
Summertime, and that political climate didn't affect it too much because, but anyways, so we are basically heading to the airport. We pack all our bags. Dude comes in. This is the crazy part. Like he's like, I'm American passport, Indian dude. You know, and sometimes the Arabs used to mistaken me for like a Moroccan guy. Sometimes Libyan. Like they used to be like, "You're Libyan. You're not Indian. Are you Libyan?" and stuff like that. So that was almost problematic too, because some of them thought I was Algerian. You know, like that Egyptians had that tension with Algerians and all that
Blue-eyed
kind of
devil.
stuff. Yeah, astaghfirullah. So we literally, the guys at our street, they were cool. They're like, yeah, go ahead. So we go to these checkpoints, one checkpoint, and then we get to the second checkpoint, and it's just a whole bunch of teenagers, bro. And we have like suitcases in the trunk. The guy had like a mini-ish van. And my wife and daughter in the back. I'm sitting in the front seat, and they stop our car, and these guys are all holding knives in their hands. I'm like, oh man. I'm like, dude, all it takes is some of these guys, like nobody's here. Like all it takes is one loony dude that somebody is gonna listen to, and things can just go real bad.
It's like the foot soldiers.
Yeah.
Ninja Turtles at the warehouse.
Yeah, they're like warehouse. Unpredictable. Rocksteady and Bebop.
Yeah, and you understand it, so you're actually understanding, like you're thinking through them, and you're like, dude, if I was these guys' ages and somebody told me that these guys were criminals or hiding something, and so they open the window, like they notice the guy right away, like, where are you from? He's like, oh, I'm a driver, I'm a student here. Look, this is my license, this is that. Like, who are you taking? Like, can we see your passport? I'm not gonna tell that guy, no, I'm not going to give you my passport, right?
Some random teenager dude.
Yeah, but there's like some older guys there too. And I told the guy, I was like, listen, man, can you, and they're all just like kind of like gathering. I was like, oh, we got an American here. And they're like, Americans, all the guys are crowding around the car. I'm like, inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. And I see my daughter there, she's chilling, she's playing. She's like playing games, and dude, I look at my wife and look at her. She makes eye contact. She's just chilling. She's just looking around. I was like, Allahu Akbar. Because I'm like more afraid for them.
Yeah, but you're a paranoid person, though.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah,
it's a good thing.
When other people are with me, it's always good to think about the worst case scenario and then like entertain it and then really like dwell.
Yeah, I'm not even thinking of worst case scenario.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
I just don't want it to escalate. I'm not really thinking about worst case scenario. I'm just thinking how I could mitigate any
Mine
problems.
would be thinking about life after without his wife. He'd be thinking, how do I get remarried again?
I already think that. I'm like, okay,
what's plan B?
Yeah, dude.
You can have my wife. Let me get out of here.
Dude, your wife doesn't know about this podcast. She's not gonna listen to this podcast.
No.
Okay.
He doesn't care.
So the guys are looking around. They're not even looking in the back. Like, I'm like, dude, I just don't want them to look in the back and see my daughter and my wife. Like, I don't know what the heck these guys are thinking, right? And the guys like American, and the guys are kind of like crowding around and stuff like that, and they're making noise. Like, for some reason, the guy like raising up his knife. Like, one of the guys like, and the guy, he looks in the back. I was like, crap. I'm like waiting for his reaction now because he sees my wife, my daughter. He's like, guys, step back. There's a woman in the car with the child. I was like, alhamdulillah, bro. That was awesome, But the guys, he's like trying to argue with them. Like, no, we need to check everything. Like arguing with each other.
Well, because you know why? There were people that were masquerading as women. They would put on niqab and abaya, and it would just go from town to town.
Yeah. And they're like, where's
but I think
your
when
wife?
they saw the kid, they were like,
Yeah. They're like, where's your wife from? What's in the bags and stuff like that? And we're like, dude, it's just our stuff. It's just our luggage. We're just going to the airport. We're actually going to the airport right now. I'm a student here of Egypt and all of Azhar and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, all right, just give us 1 second. They're looking at our stuff. And that guy, I still remember his face, bro. He's probably like the oldest one there. He was probably like 30 years old or something. He's the loudest one there too. I just remember how loud that dude was. And the guy, he was like, shut up. He was talking in Arabic. He's like, no, we're not going to search them. That they're going to the airport. They look like good people. You don't have to worry about it. And I'm just waiting for these guys to finish and stuff like that. And like, don't worry, we're going to call someone. They're going to help you guys out. I was like, what does that mean? So he literally calls some guy who's a few streets down, who's from the army, right? And they literally talked to us, looked at our stuff, and they're like, all right, we're going to escort you to the airport. I'm like, really? I was like, okay, subhanAllah, man. And like, as soon as that happened, like there was this like tranquility that entered my heart, and I already felt like, when that cool, nice anxiety you have to go travel to see your family back again. You know what I'm saying? Like that nice, like good feeling of traveling and no more anxiety.
Mm-hmm. You know, you're going home.
Yeah,
or you're gonna arrive at your destination.
Yeah,
like you're on the way.
Yeah,
yeah.
And then I was like, wow, these things like happen like
the stress of traveling is gone.
Yeah. And then we're just. He sees us off. He's like, I'm going to stop right here. You won't have any more checkpoints here.
Do you know what it's like? It's like, how when you get through immigration in America, it's like that. You're like, oh,
yeah.
I'm home now.
Remember we were traveling together?
Yeah. Whenever I travel from either from Jordan or from Dubai, they always hit the security there first. So once you get in there, you're like, oh, all right. Hard part's done. easy part now.
Turkish Airlines.
Yeah, right. Like, oh, easy part done now.
Yeah,
Here we come home, right? Like that. Yeah, I know exactly the feeling. Oh, such a great feeling.
It's like so much sakina in your
Such
heart.
a because the whole time for like a day, 2 days, you're worried about how they're gonna check, what's gonna go on, and then finally, like it just get you're over that part of it. It's just easy.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And you start realizing things, bro. When these things happen, when you see trials and tribulations, that's one thing. Like I notice about my missus. Like, yeah, she'd be sensitive when things like this happen. She's like a rock, dude. And I was like, and that just made me feel better because I was like, I'm usually worried about them. You know what I'm saying? So then our exit to Egypt, like we literally, like, after a long time, then we just saw this dude. It must have been like double the size, like a normal sized tank. This tank was as ginormous in the middle of the street, and there was some dude still sitting on top of the tank, and he just waves at us. And that was like the last like army personnel that we saw. I was like, what a cool way to see off Egypt, right? So we go back. We had, obviously, airport was really cool. Everyone was really good. They weren't like, oh, American passport, okay, go. We actually had even like extra luggage. They let us through. They're like, yeah, it's totally cool. And me and my wife were like, alhamdulillah, man, we made it through. Get back. Family is kind of like concerned. I was trying to downplay it as much as I can. This fast forwarding. The travel, there was nothing too exciting about it.
What airline did you fly?
I think we took Turkish Airlines.
It was Turkish, probably.
They have pretty good in-flight entertainment.
Yeah.
At that time, no.
No?
I mean, they had movies and stuff.
The food was good. I like the food.
Yeah, that was the thing about Turkish.
Yeah.
The Turkish food.
I still remember the tiramisu, bro.
Tiramisu. I love a tiramisu. They still have the same one.
I told them, I asked if I could have extra.
The worst food is like, I think, I don't want to find any Egyptians, but Egyptian air is the worst.
What do they give you, like food?
Actually, I've been on Air Africa before when I was going to Mauritania. That was pretty rough.
I went on an Ethiopian airline before.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Bangladesh Biman is pretty trash.
It's called Biman?
Biman.
Do they even have food?
Yeah, they have food, but it's all like dal and like fish and with lots of bones.
Oh man, that airplane must stink.
Boy, imagine choking on a fish bone on the plane like.
No, Bengalis got it down, bro. They know what to do.
Do you know how to eat it without?
Nah, that's why I avoid it.
Do you swallow the bones?
I got. Remember that story? I got it stuck on my tongue when I was in 5th grade, dude.
My God,
for like a week,
bro.
I had a fish bone walking around, stuck on my tongue, dude.
God.
Like through your tongue, like tongue piercing.
Yeah, like it was like, and then finally, my mom was like, I was brushing my teeth. You brush your tongue. It finally fell out.
Oh, I thought it was like one of those tribal, piercings where you had like this bone in your mouth.
That's wrong country, bro. That doesn't happen in Bangladesh, bro. Wrong country.
Right through his lip.
To be fair, that plane ride was like 23 years ago.
Oh yeah.
So you learned how to eat since then?
No, I haven't. But I'm saying like as far as me comparing like Biman to like Turkish or Emirates or.
Oh yeah,
Emirates
I mean I'm not gonna lie. Turkish has always been great for me. Emirates is always Singapore. But honestly, among the even for a while, Jordanian Airways wasn't bad.
Yeah, we took Air Jordanian once too. It was
Royal Jordanian is what it's called. Yeah.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah, dude.
Do you remember when they used to be able to smoke on those planes?
I remember, not on the planes.
Oh, the first time
I know the airport they have smoking areas.
The first time I saw Muhajjaba smoke was on Royal Jordanian. I remember we took off, and all of a sudden, ding, and they see all these.
That's probably when you went to Umrah when you were back in the day, right?
Probably. We used to go so many times, but yeah, I think I must have been like 11 or 12.
That's when you were swimming in the Dead Sea.
And then I remember like,
swimming in the Dead Sea.
But I remember, I see Muhajjaba walk by. And she's like,
why don't you tell everyone?
I'm like, Dad, what the hell is going on here?
Morty, why don't you tell everyone about your nice little swimming pool trip in the Dead Sea?
And I went to so I was bored in Jordan, and I'm like,
this is what you were young too.
Yeah, I was young. I was like, I mean, 12, maybe 11. I was born in Jordan, and I was bored there, and we went to like Man, and I was just hanging out, and from there, we're like, let's go to Aqaba. Okay, cool, we'll go to Aqaba. So we went to Aqaba, and I had this cool cab driver. On the way there, we had to stop by his house because his horse was giving birth to a calf, to an animal. We stopped there, we had lunch, we drank some tea. I'm like, hey,
and then you had to do the Pledge of Aqaba too.
What the hell is the Pledge of Aqaba?
No, and Sira, he's stupid, bro. Never mind.
What?
Anyway, so you're like, but by the way, going to Aqaba from there is pretty cool. So you have to go all the way up. And by the way, I'm in this 60s Mercedes diesel. And I'm talking, it's like a shifter up here, bro.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I remember those.
And it was like
the Peugeots were like that.
Basically, the engine's about to give out, and if it gives out, you're gonna roll backward off this cliff. Like you're just gonna go backward, right? So you have to pray to God that the thing goes up the whole thing because it keeps going round and round.
But those Mercedes are beasts, bro.
Yeah, and it was a beast. No air conditioning, hot as hell, bro. I mean, everything is sweating. I mean, there was a puddle behind my booty. I mean, that's how bad it was. I mean, you sit on this leather. Really leather. Anyways. So you get there, And then finally we get to the Aqaba, and I'm so hot, bro. I'm like dying. I'm dying. I'm like a 12-year-old kid. And I'm dying of heat, bro. First thing I did is running and jumping.
The Dead Sea.
I just took my shirt off. I just jumped in the water. And I'm like, I can't even jump in. You can't, I don't know if anyone's been there, but if you try to actually go inside, it's hard to like stay submerged. Because it's so,
heavy.
Yeah, it's heavy. So you feel like it's just different. The buoyancy is different. I'm trying to get in. And I'm like, and he's like, what are you doing? You're not supposed to be swimming. Because he's a religious guy too. You see tourists do it, but my dad, I'm kind of more religious. He's like, Dad, get out. What are you doing? You're not supposed to be in that water. It's Azab Allah. What are you doing? And I'm like, I'm hot, bro. What are you doing?
The Azab Allah came there. That's why he was saying.
That's why you couldn't cool off.
That's why you couldn't cool off. Because the Azab.
But those kind of adventures, you can't have them anymore.
Yeah.
There's not, the Arab world is just different now. People are just different now.
Yeah.
It's not the same anymore.
Everything changed.
So you came back to Chicago, right?
Came back to Chicago. I remember like talking to my parents. I was trying to downplay it as much as I can.
What year is this, by the way?
This is 2011? Beginning of 2011?
Okay.
Is that when it was? Beginning of 2011?
Yeah.
January.
Mubarak was still the president, right?
Yeah.
They hadn't changed yet.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
I think a few, weeks or so after Amir came back is when Mubarak announced he was stepping down.
It's something like that.
It's also when Derrick Rose, I think, towards
because I remember we having comment. I'm like, Amir, you should have stayed. You could have been under the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt. You could have been part of the government. You could have stayed. He's like, nah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, no, but I mean, of course, you made the right decision. You didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, if I was there on my own, I just find a nice place to hide out, and I would just do that,
But I mean, I remember it was really recent after you came back, like within a week or two, like that Mubarak had stepped down and that Mohammed Morsi was.
Yeah. And I did have a conversation. We had like some family get together, and like my in-laws came over, and it just kind of like I got a little passionate about it because people were talking about it, and I just like I always try to keep those things away from my peeps. I don't want my parents to worry, But like we started talking about it, and like, oh, this is what happened, and that's what happened, and we started talking about it. I was like, yeah, man, you have to, and like one of my relatives was like, I want to be very careful of mentioning the relation because it'll be weird. But he was like, wait, why were you like on the streets? You should have been at home. And just a natural response to me was, man, they're protecting my family, dude. Why wouldn't I protect their families? You know what I'm saying?
You know what it's like? I think people don't realize, but when you're in a situation, you never know how it's different how you're going to calculate. You can calculate everything you want. It's like Mike Tyson said, right? Everybody's got a plan to get punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
Right? Then you don't have a plan no more, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like that, right? Yeah. Where you can plan anything you want to, but the minute like it happens, like you think that, in those moments, you draw closer to people you never thought you'd draw closer to.
Yeah.
And that influences kind of what you're going to do.
Yeah. Yeah, totally, man. Totally. Chill there for a while. Then I come back to Egypt by myself for exams. I had to study. I was studying with Shaykh Muhammad al-Imam. I think that's when I was. Jeez, I can't even remember anymore. But that's fine. I'm just blanking, but that's cool.
Let's just make it Muhammad al-Morsi. And then
to make you happy.
Was Shaykh Sanallah still there when you were there?
Yeah. And then we were studying. I still remember for our exams again. The cool thing was things were a little lax. It was a little more different because it was still in that transitional phase. So
you must have... yes, talk about that for a minute.
Yeah,
because
that's what
going to Azhar under like the Mubarak regime versus going after, talk about that.
That's the next point.
Yeah, so talk about that a little bit. I think I remember going there like to the Jama, like seeing how it was and like the security around it and like the checkpoints and... just that attitude where you have to watch what you say inside the Jama.
Yeah. So in the walls of the Jama, you can kind of say whatever you want. You just can't bring it outside of the Jama. Foreigners are still very paranoid about that, though.
Well, that's the whole... because you don't know who was a jasus.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing. You didn't know who was going to, like, say something.
Yeah.
So was that still like that?
No, it wasn't at all, bro. It's like all the guards were down. Everyone was just totally chill. Teachers were talking about some cool things. There were some new additions added to our book. I still remember.
Wait, tell us what cool things were they talking about?
So, I mean, they were just talking about like political processes. They were talking about Hosni Mubarak and how he aired and all that kind of stuff. And
they thought revolution is in the air. They thought Islam was coming.
No, some of them. Some of them were very optimistic. They were hoping to be optimistic and positive, but I don't know how much faith they had in what was going to happen. Like they still knew. I think a lot of the smart people knew, even though Morsi, like his entrance into that arena meant that he was going to leave soon. There's some people that were thinking like that, right?
And there were some people that also believe that there was inevitably there are going to be compromises that would cause issues.
Of course.
Because I remember Baredi was coming back to the country. Like, how the hell did that happen?
That happened.
Wait, Brailleys were coming back?
No, Baradei, one of the political candidates. Don't worry, dude. One of the people that were a lot of Hussein Mubarak guys. They tried to escape.
If the Brailleys were coming.
So basically, all the people that were political opponents to Mubarak that either were jailed or exiled had become free now and they can come back to the country.
They were pretty much so, yeah.
All political opponents, whether they could be secular or whatever, but they got a chance to come back now, and they also had their loyalists as well.
How long were you in Chicago before you?
Dude, I can't even remember, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Because I came back so many times.
3-4 months, I think.
Yeah,
and I came back once. I still remember my first and second year there. I had to
but
come
this time
back.
you dropped your family off and then went back.
Yeah.
Sheikh Yusuf Qaradawi come back?
There was a whole thing in the air. It's a cool thing you mentioned that. Like, is he coming back because the doors are open for him not to come back? But I think he came to visit. Mm-hmm. He didn't stay though.
He got too comfortable in Qatar, bro.
He got very good.
Yeah, why would you do? Wow, you think he did Qatar for you?
No, I mean just a visit. You know what I'm saying?
No, I think he visited.
It was
a big thing. But one thing that I realized is that even like my last year there, after the air, I think it was still like kind of prime. One of the chapters that we were studying was as far as they save it for like the last year, and some parts of the second to last year is when we were discussing ahkam sultaniya, just as far as the ruler, how he's supposed to conduct himself Islamically, and it was so open. It was such a cool thing having like a open discussion with the teacher, and the cool thing is that I still remember the chapter start off with saying, there's many synonyms for Islamic fiqh-based rulership. Some contemporary words are riyasa Islamiyya. Some people like to call it a demokratiya Islamiyya, Islamic democracy. Democracy on the level of the people have a right to vote. But not as far as the rules are concerned, and that's just the job of the statesmen and the judges and all that kind of stuff. So those discussions were pretty interesting, and you see people from other countries asking about those things. Wait,
what did they use the K word?
They use the word khilafah. They don't mind, dude. It's totally cool. Like
because you said like they used risala or something.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so they use many words, but to them, dude, for academics, like people who've been there, they don't really care too much about that. They don't have that same filter that we have here in the States. They have a different type of filter, right? It's different words.
I just thought that they would be worried about the...
No, that's the cool thing. People weren't that worried anymore,
Oh, at that point. Okay.
At that point, people weren't that worried anymore. And I still remember studying with a group of guys. Like, everything was just totally chill after that. And I was like, you know what? I think I can just... I was living with some bachelors. It was cool kind of living, with the bachelors again.
Because Morsi's back. Because Morsi's in power too.
Yeah, and it was like I was living in my own apartment, but I welcomed some guys in that can live with me and stuff like that.
How many foreigners came back?
I don't remember, man, but a majority of them did.
Oh, really?
A big portion of them did. A big portion that I knew did, because it just seemed...
I remember when that happened, though, a lot of people were talking about making hijrah. They were like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was one of the guys like, nope, y'all don't trust, you don't know the Arabs. Give it a little time.
Little sneaky guy. Well, the thing is that there are a lot of good Egyptians, but there's also a lot of
Egyptians, bro. Arabs mess things up all the time, bro.
It's not just that, man. It's not. I don't think it's just a thing about Arabs. I think there's a lot of Islamic sentiment in Egypt, like it is in Pakistan, but there's also a ruthless secular part of.
Bro, listen, Arabs have a poison of hyper-nationalism.
That's true.
So I knew it's not that I'm not. I mean, I can talk about them, they're my people, but I'm just all I'm gonna say is that when you know someone good enough, they're messed up. It's just that's the feeling I have. Like, I just wait for some time. Give me like 5. If it's cool, if it's there in 5 years, I'll come.
Yeah, man. It was really.
You just look anywhere, bro.
Though.
Look from Egypt to Syria, Libya. You just name any place, bro. Iraq. I mean,
sometimes you just have to look in your local mosque. Those Arab kids running around like crazy.
No,
start a lot of trouble. No, I'm kidding.
I'll be honest. Local mosque, I can't. I mean, I've run well too, but I'm talking as a state. Man, the Arab politics is dirty, bro.
Yeah, it is.
Siyasa najasa.
Siyasa najasa. Yeah, I agree.
It is dirty, bro.
I agree.
Because people just. I mean, politics in general. You have to be dirty to be a politician today, bro. And if you're not, that's why. Look, you know what I firmly believe. Arabs need a ruthless dictator, bro. You just shut up and follow me.
Why can't they just have a ruthless caliph?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He could. I mean, what I mean.
He's
whatever,
ruling by Islam. You're saying.
I mean, look.
You're saying they need another Hajjaj.
Listen, I think that would be the precursor to the Khalif coming.
Yeah.
Right? There will be Mulkun Jabri. I mean, like it'll be like where they're gonna have like a lot of strong rule over them, and that could be a Hajjaj bin Yusuf. It could be like someone like I don't know, one of these people. But the point is that right now they're so poisoned by nationalism and this hyper nationalism.
Yeah.
Like, bro, literally people kill each other over a soccer match, bro.
What's wrong with that?
They won't. I know some places.
That happens in like Brazil and stuff. Too.
No, but I'm saying, forget about that. We can't say just because they do it's okay. It's normal. I'm saying,
I don't think it's okay.
Yeah, but
I'm saying they're not the only ones that do that.
I know that. But what I'm saying is we borrowed from them.
Yes,
I mean, we learned that from them, and now like we've got that poison.
I mean, Real Madrid and Barcelona beef goes deep, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't care about
I heard
them, bro.
like people in the blood, Palestinians, they don't marry outside their local town.
Well, I think for them, I think for them,
that dude's not from my town.
Yeah, I mean, I think for them they have a reason too because they want to preserve their family name. They've been really kicked out of their lands and they're trying to preserve.
They should learn from the Pakistanis. That causes a lot of genetic defects.
Yeah, but I mean, that's yes, but they don't have many options.
It's all good though.
But check it out though. I mean, but speaking of that, I don't get this, bro. Since you brought that up, right? The whole genetic defect about getting married and inbreeding and continuous marriages, right? Like almost half of Ashkenazis come from 4 mothers, right? Like they always talk about how smart the Ashkenazis are. They have the highest IQ. They're a bunch of inbreds, all right? I mean, if you want to talk about it that way, right? But they have.
Sims replies to me, but hey, they're Bani Israel, so they're cursed, so they're gonna be that way.
So you're smart if you're cursed. I mean, you're cursed if you're smart?
Hey, knowledge can be a curse.
Damn, I must be cursed as hell, bro.
Stop. I'm just joking.
Uh-huh. But I think it's just propaganda. And the whole continuous marriage thing. I mean, because they always talk about how smart the Jews are. And look at Japanese and they marry each other all the time. They have no one else on the island. They're smart as hell. Mongols marry each other. They're smart as hell.
But they do have a lot of genetic defects is what we're talking about. So anyway, Shaykh, can you go?
Genetic defects can be in many forms too, though, right? It's not just...
Yeah, Shaykh, can you please continue?
Yeah, so we do our exams, we have lots of cool conversation. It was like, I missed my family not being there, but at the same time, I was kind of glad because for safety reasons. But like, dude, once you're married for a long time, one thing I'll say is, once you're married and you live with the person and then you have to live with bachelors again, yeah, it's cool for like a week or 2 weeks. But then after that, you're like, you almost feel like, even though I live with some really cool guys, you just kind of feel like not a babysitter. It's like a weird feeling. It's like, man, this is not really the way I want to live for too long, right? I can't wait.
You miss the sex, bro.
No,
yeah, exactly.
It's about companionship, bro. Let's just keep it on the DL.
I mean, listen,
bro, can we keep this on the DL, bro? I have a whole bunch of nieces and nephews that are watching this right now, dude. Right. And plus my significant other, plus my relatives. And
okay, how about that?
I want to ask you a question. When you guys learn in Islamic law, like Kitabun Nikah, how much is it emphasized that women putting out is a priority?
That is definitely not the topic of today. We'll talk about that later. I want to make sure that the Islamic universities are doing their job and propagating the deen properly.
But this is, mate. We're talking about the Sheikh's story.
He's talking about how he misses his wife and how he misses marriage.
I just want to make sure that people
we'll save that for our Wednesday talk.
Yeah. We'll wait for the round table. I think that would be probably a better idea. I don't know. Unless he wants to answer it.
I'm so sorry, guys. I don't have like a control pause button for him. But
Staples easy button.
But it was, I really missed living with them, but it was like kind of weird, So
you know what it is? I think you get accustomed to living a certain way.
Yeah.
And then you realize like the bachelor life is chaotic. Yeah. Let's be honest, right? There's dishes in the sink. There's smelly laundry on the place.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right,
not cleaning up properly.
Yeah, people awake all night long.
Yeah, bro.
Right, like you can't do that when you have family on. Like when bachelors together, they stay awake all night long. Bro.
Yeah, dude.
They'll stay awake till fusher, bro.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
No problem.
Plus, dude, my missus was like super understanding, bro. She never like complained about the simplicity we're living. Yeah, literally, I'm like, even for like the first year, they're all the way through. I'm literally studying. She locks the door because she doesn't want my daughter to distract me from studying. Like I'm like in there for like 3 hours at a time, and I hear knock on the door. T comes in with like a napkin folded with like a little snack, like a cookie, And I just continue studying. I'm like, dude, that's the life, man. I'm telling you, I was living like a king because of my missus, bro. So
did you get a Danish cookie with a heart?
Yo, maybe my wife should listen to this podcast so she can get some tips.
no, dude, no.
Was it a shortbread cookie?
There's some listeners who are very upset with you, mind. Their little kids are listening. The listenership, you should understand if you're new, especially new to the show. This man has the equivalent of Tourette's when it comes to outrageous. He just says crazy. He can't. He can't.
And he's Bengali, so just that explains everything.
We deeply apologize if we offended your family in any way. Please feel free to turn the TV off.
I'm sorry, Sikandar uncle.
Oh, you're a punk, bro. He's such a punk.
Why? I'm not a punk. I love him.
Anyways, dude, this is getting pretty funny. But so that's what I was living, and then all of a sudden you kind of have to just clean. And I'm not saying, well, I am kind of lazy, but like, dude, your missus will spoil you if she's always cleaning up after you and the place looks nice. And, you have your daughter like screaming, not screaming, but like, when you come home and like hugging you.
Abo.
Yeah. Abu, that's what she calls me. Yup, man. And so that was beautiful, man. But go back to the States, tell my wife, I was like, okay, you know what? This one last year should be fine, and... we just did istikhara and stuff and bought them back. And that was the last year. There's a lot of interesting things that happened the last year I was there. Got super close with Shaykh Sanallah. I love him. To the point that I can miss some days of classes and just go with him and he'd always be there, bro.
That guy's a gem.
Yeah, dude. And I remember me, Shaykh Fahim and Shaykh Sanallah, our last year there for our finals. One memory that I have is me and Fahim would go there in the daytime. In the morning, and may Allah preserve, his family, his missus. I mean, because we would go there in the daytime, we would study in the masjid, and then we pray dhuhr. He's like, all right, let's go to my house. We're like, no, it's fine. We're like, the masjid was all ours, and he used to like lead a prayer there too. The masjid, this area, big masjid, it was beautiful. He used to give a khutbah in his area too. You don't hear foreigners go to Egypt and give khutbahs in the masjids and stuff. He gives khutbahs in the masjids and all that. He's like, let's go for dhuhr after we pray dhuhr, and his wife is like cooked this whole like. All this good food.
He's Afghani, right?
Bengali. He's Bengali too. Right. He's got to retract all the Bengali stuff now.
No, I love him.
No, he's like, I love him. He's the only Bengali I love.
When I left, he used to email me.
Yeah.
Just to say hi, hello, salam alaikum.
He's such a good dude, man.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's loving. Yeah. Unlike Mahin. Totally opposite.
So, all I remember is we'd go there, we'd study for like 8-9 hours, dude. And awesome discussions, man. That's when I think I grew the most. It's like, for the first 3 years, you get like the main tools that you need. But there's this wisdom of knowledge that people have to understand, dude. You can never undermine study circles that you have. Study circles, as long as you have a base that you're studying, and then that study circle, the reason why Allah favored us is our study partner that was in the same year with us was a sheikh also, right? And a lot of students, even though you're students, you bounce ideas off each other when you learn it from the school and the books, and then you come back and you regroup and you study together. The tadarus, the studying amongst each other. There's so many different futuhat, so many different openings Allah gives you, right? That it wouldn't have happened there, but you need to have this first primer with the sheikh or the teacher or the institution to come back and regroup. The reason why, Allah favors us in different ways. The reason why I believe that Allah favored me so heavily is that we literally had a sheikh in our study circle of 2 people, 3 people. Sometimes Shaykh Suhail Mullah would be with us too. But Shaykh Sanallah was a gem, and he just made everything so easy for us.
Barakah.
Yeah, dude. It was like, dude, he knew the text inside and out. And obviously he was there just for the bachelor's degree. He put in all the work before. And then we would leave at night. So there's this place called Minshiyat Nasr. The Egyptians that are listening to me, they'll know about Minshiyah. Minshiyah was kind of like the hood. So how it works is, the bus drops you off at the entrance of this little mini tiny city, and people pick you up to take you. You tell them where they can take you. It costs you 25 qish, basically 25 Egyptian pounds or 25 cents in Egyptian pounds. Qish. They call it qish.
Oh. It's like the coin.
Yeah.
Oh, they have they have a dollar thing too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, but it was 25 cents or 50 cents if we're going all the way up, right? I'll call it cents for right now, 50 cents, right? So the interesting thing is, these guys, they pick you up in these cars. They make the cars in that little area. And that area circumference is probably like, I don't know, 3-4 miles. I don't know, 5 miles maybe. But they have these routes where they're going to take you, right? These routes. and you drive and you see all these little factories and people working on things, and you're getting more and more into like gravel area, and then you just see like, you know, it's basically people living in very, very simple, very, very simple living, where people just, they're selling bread and it's just all over like on the sidewalk. They're selling bread like on the sidewalk, you know what I'm saying? It's all literally on the physical sidewalk, and people getting bread from there. And we'd have to go through all of this. When you first go there, you actually think like, dude, where am I? And these guys like makeshift, and they get like parts from other cars. They construct their own cars together. And
imagine a huge junkyard where they repair everything.
Yeah. But they're like, you could see like when they're driving, because I sat in the front a few times, it's like this molded dashboard, like metal dashboard of like a Nissan Sentra on the front. The back is like the part of a minivan.
It's like a hodgepodge, they weld them together.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all shaky because obviously struts and everything are all weird and off. But it ended up becoming like a beautiful experience, because you would think when you were there, like, dude, how safe is this? But after a while, it becomes your place, because we're going there every day. And Allah preserve my missus, man. She was like, she never said, oh, how long are you going to be there for? Just go, come back. Dude, I just go some days like 10 a.m. I'd come back like 9 p.m. Come home, warm food, chilling. How's everything? This, that. Just, dude, it was honestly like, that was like, honestly, probably the most beautiful time in my life as far as being a student. It's that block life that you live, like everything's like in blocks for you as a student life. And your main concern is just to study, bro. That is like the most.
Yeah, no bills, no about insurance, no mortgages.
I mean, you have bills, bro, like, but your family's taking care of that too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, you're not, no responsibility for that.
But after that, it's like the people who are sponsoring you, Allah preserve them. You know, ILF and the ICNA guys, man. Those guys are amazing. Allah give them Jannah without any hisab, man. Those guys just, you know, always just were there, you know. And it was just like the most beautiful life that anyone could ask for. Like, you have a passion for something and, you know, you do it. So now finals time comes around. I don't know. Are we running out of time or what?
No, go ahead.
That'll be good.
So when finals time comes around with all the studying we did in Minshiyat Nasr, nighttime would come about, you know, a few nights before the exams, and we're really crushing it. We're leaving, like getting home at like 11 p.m., you know, and you know, like we used to be in like that weird, when you're studying for so long and you get out, you're just super goofy and you're just laughing about everything.
And what books are you learning? What's your, this is the... Sultan al-Hakimiyya and stuff?
No, well, that's the subject that we were studying, but it's the same thing, like books of fiqh, but like contemporary. So the last year we were studying like Islamic governance, Islamic politics, and all that kind of stuff, and you know, those kind of things. And
the usul of rebelling against the corrupt rulers.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't really happen, but the ruling of that comes about, of like what is considered rebellion, and all that kind of stuff. Lots of cool study, but it's not like you don't have people there that are studying and it's like you're getting riled up. It's an academic study. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. When
you go home, you could do whatever you want with that knowledge, but people are there, but they have really, really good questions and all that kind of stuff. And it's a beautiful setting. I don't want people to get this idea that it's just like a whole bunch of activists inside of a room and they're all like cheering when like learning. It's like, it's an academic
swords
study.
coming out like,
yeah, that's not what it's like. It's a university, right? But we're in this goofy phase, and then you know, when you come back home and it's like you're just like ecstatic because you're done studying because you've been doing that for so long. The nights creep up and it's like, for me, it's like, dude, this is my last year here. These are the exams. So now it's like I'm confident, but this is where my note taking, remember I was talking about the wall note taking? Like I've perfected it by now. And I have like all these different types of notes set up, and I knew how to condense my notes. I'm not like writing huge phrases anymore. I'm just using like code words that I can understand and all that kind of stuff. And I put in a whole lot of extra work because of those notes, and I started doing something where, and my students know about this because in all my classes, my students now, every time they sit down, they have to date their notes and take notes. And my idea for them for the notes is, if you ever lose your textbook, your notes should be enough for you to get an A on your exam. You know what I'm saying? That's how well your note taking should be. It doesn't have to be detailed, but they should be powerful power notes, right? So I got in this habit where I would be in the dars, even with Shaykh and Allah, and even in school, whatever it was, take the notes on my own notebook and take those same notes and condense them onto the wall, on my wall writing, right? And you start reading stories of, you know, people, and I'm not comparing myself to them, but you start getting a sense of confidence when you learn that when scholars, when they were in jail, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, that he would use coal to write on the walls. And many scholars, you know, even contemporary scholars, when they're in jail, they write on the walls, and their students would preserve from them. You know what I'm saying? Their students would read those and preserve. And Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, you know, when his cold basically ran out from writing on the wall, he's like, now I'm really in jail. I'm really in prison now, right? So you start reading those stories about people and you start realizing the wisdom of writing on walls. You know what I'm saying? There's something very, very cerebral and visceral about writing on walls. I'm being serious. Why are you nodding your head, bro?
Are you comparing yourself to Ibn Taymiyyah?
Never.
I thought the same.
Me? No, I said there's no comparison. What I'm saying is you start seeing the wisdom. Like, guys, I'm gonna be straightforward. Like, I thought I was weird for doing this. Like, I ask people all the time.
Oh, you totally are weird.
I am.
Ibn Taymiyyah was writing the wall because he had nothing else to write with. But you're writing because you're just weird.
I get it. But then when you start...
He's like the guy that sees all these things in the sky and they go...
No, but let me tell you
Remember
something.
that one scene in Beautiful Mind?
Yeah, that's what it is. All these like numbers and
yeah,
squares.
I imagine his notebooks are just filled with like gibberish. It's all kinds of crazy.
Guys, you guys don't know. All this, the punchline is that I'm a genius. You guys didn't know the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, you're like
a genius in your own mind.
I'm a genius.
No, I mean, you're like the Rain Man genius, though.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
He doesn't even know which movie we're talking about.
Rain Man, I know.
No,
it's not Rain Man.
Yeah. So he said like Rain Man.
No,
Rain Man was last show.
I know Beautiful Mind.
You saw Beautiful Mind?
Yeah, dude, that was from Gladiator.
Yeah, Russell Crowe.
Oh, wow, you actually remember that.
Beautiful Mind is one of my favorite movies.
Wow.
How does he know this?
Beautiful Mind is my favorite. You know how well I like the way the guy was. I was like, dude, I think exactly.
Did you relate to him in the movie?
A lot.
No wonder.
Yeah, it's a beautiful mind. Guys, it's a beautiful mind.
All right, go ahead.
I have a confession to make, guys. I'm a genius.
I love you, Amir.
I love myself too. Alhamdulillah. I'll tell you why I don't.
Should I write on the wall so you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. So no, when you start reading that, then you start. There's this different type of relationship. Look, the reason why I mentioned that story is, look, there's many ways of building relationships with people in the past because you never met them, right? So we build a relationship with Rasulullah by reading his seerah, and the more you read his seerah, the more you realize the hadith of none of you is a true believer until he loves me more than his mother, his father, and his children, everything. You start realizing that when you read about Muhammad. Like, we don't want to be stuck in a circle where we claim we love Rasulullah. I know all of us do, alhamdulillah. But we don't want to become like the Christians where we say we love, and, you know, but that love, there, it's super emotional, but there's no mind behind it, right? But when you actually know about Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you start realizing, like, how you actually know him as if he's standing in front of you, right? It doesn't have to be very detailed. It just requires some sincerity, some ikhlas, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, obviously, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opening your heart and giving you futuhat, openings. But then there's other people in Islamic history that you read about and you wish you were with them. But then you read about them, but then you find something you haven't experienced and then you start resonating with them.
So relatability. Yeah,
relatability. Exactly. I should have just said relatability. That's exactly what it is. And then I start realizing, like, the wisdom behind writing stuff and just like having on the walls and stuff. Obviously, there's no. I'm not making a comparison, but
I'm just teasing you. No, but I get you. What you're saying is you felt like you understood why they did certain things.
Yes,
and that kind of made you draw closer to them as personalities.
Yes, and dude, I'm not gonna say this. I'm not saying that I encourage this, but I kind of get on an emotional feeling level why people start tagging up walls and they do graffiti. I kind of got that. After. I didn't say it's okay. But I understood people have an artistic thing and they have feelings. There's a lot of tagging that they do. There's feeling behind it. And I totally understood what they're communicating on the wall now.
I mean, writing helps you retain it, right?
Of course.
And so, and if you write it beautifully, or if you write it in a certain format, you're more likely to remember it because you're putting more effort into and details into it. Exactly. That's why actually even calligraphy came about, because they would spend time focusing on the letters, what they were doing, how they were writing it. That ingrain that in their memories.
Yeah, that's a beautiful. No, that's why I had that appreciation for when people actually with permits write on walls and they write messages on walls. I think that's really beautiful, right? So anyways, I was just like filling up my walls, being as detailed as possible. But then, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has his ways of letting you know what you're doing. Just keep doing it sometimes, you know? And even if it's not, if it's a false sense that you're feeling, if you think it's from Allah, you know, everything's from Allah, but as false sense, that's why we just ask Allah for forgiveness, and we ask forgiveness 70 times a day, you know, minimum, because it can be sins that we do. It can be things that you think Allah wants from you, but He really doesn't want that from you. You're right? That's why all the istighfars are there. It's all of those, right? Plus more.
You hear that, Sim? You do istighfar daily.
Bro, Sim does istighfar a lot, bro.
I do it all the time.
MashaAllah.
I love his face. I do it all the time. So, you know, after that, a lot of interesting things happened. And what that means is that I'm done with my exams. Alhamdulillah, everything went well. And now I'm...
You pass Ahkam al-Sultaniya?
Yeah. Yeah. That's just, yeah. So,
That's how it happened?
No, that's just...
Did you have difficulty in it, sir?
No, alhamdulillah, I had difficulty in a lot of things, man, you know?
But
I
you
had a
should read
good
the first
group of
chapter.
guys. Yeah, I had a
Over
good,
again.
Yeah.
Amir,
It's called The Way to Believe.
Yeah.
what kind of student do you think Sim would be?
I think Sim would be one of those guys.
We've studied together. He knows what kind of student.
I know what kind of guy he is. I think he wouldn't go to class, but I think he's one of those guys that would do a lot of research on his
You
own.
got to retake the class 4 times.
No, dude, him and his brother are like mega researchers, bro. Like,
No, he's the kind of guy that has to learn. He would learn on his own pace, but
Yeah.
he would know. He'd have to find something to attach himself to that make the. He has to find interest in it.
yeah,
When he does, but the minute he loses interest in any part of that book, it's over. The
Yeah.
class is done.
I read 10 books at a time. Because
Oh,
I
really?
just I
Yeah, because
can't.
you get this. Yeah, he gets. So when he gets bored of one book, he'll pick up and resume the other book where he left off.
Yeah, I just keep going through a rotation of books because
Yeah.
I can't.
But he'll
keep
never
myself
finish the whole
interested
book.
in
Though.
anything.
Yeah,
So
I do the same thing with Netflix shows.
It's called binge watching.
Oh, simultaneously watching
No,
different
like
things?
yeah. going
Wait,
through
is that like a? Oh, I can't say that in the show. Never mind. Go ahead. The people watching.
Tune in for the X-rated future Maheen Mort podcast.
Yeah, maybe.
Anyways, guys, disregard that, please. So, you know, heading back.
It wasn't bad. It's had a
Everything's going
comment.
well.
I just don't think they would get it. People might misconstrue my comment.
That's true. I appreciate your
Because I don't want
carefulness.
Uncle Stikando to be mad.
Who's Uncle Sikander?
That's the down of the family, bro.
He tunes in.
He got permission
No, he
from
doesn't
Uncle
tune in.
Stikando to be on the
Alhamdulillah, he
show.
doesn't tune
You
in.
know, he has to get permission before he does anything, and that's the permission guy.
Really?
Yeah, he's like the Dandara.
Anyways, I'm glad you think so highly
I'm
of
not
him.
part
I
of
do.
this.
I love him.
No,
I love him.
too.
I love. Dude,
Of
he's
course.
the guy that I used to fear when I walked into the foundation.
Yeah, more. Actually, didn't fear too many people ever.
Yeah. And he had this thing. Like he had this like he reminded my grandfather. That's why he had the same kind of look.
Actually, I remember the picture you showed me. Your grandfather.
Yeah, he looked a lot. Doesn't he look a lot like
Can we
him?
get him on the
and he had that
podcast?
stern, cold face, bro.
No?
He's actually a really interesting guy. Like after he retired and everything, he started taking class at Dal Qasim, taking the Shaykh.
Yeah, he's amazing, and he'd be a powerhouse lifting.
Yeah.
Dude,
I saw him at Planet Fitness like 2 years ago.
Yeah, he doesn't. Mashallah, tabarakallah.
Yeah, he's older than
I
my
don't know what
pops,
happened with
dude.
Mujahid, but man,
He's older than my
dad-
pops. He's over 80 years old. He's older than my pops, bro. And I saw him
just
on
remembered
I saw him on the pec deck thing doing this thing, bro. Yeah, I remember he had white gloves, sweatpants on, white gym shoes, blue shirt.
Yeah,
And he
chef.
was
Can
going
you
like this.
can you continue?
Yeah, dude, my bad, bro.
I remember the class.
I see these people regularly. Okay, I don't want to see them.
Oh, dude, I listen. I just remember him like in that white topi thing.
Yeah.
Do you know, like it's like
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of hat it is.
Yeah, the North Indian. The white one.
The one that's
It's a white
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
yeah, but it's like a plastic sheet, or I mean,
That's white, bro. It's pointed, not
I
plastic.
mean,
It's
it's the
pointed.
regular cotton sheet, right?
Come
I
on,
remember
let's
that.
go.
Anyways. So
Great, I love
we, you know, I get back to the States and I'm fast forwarding. There's not too many interesting things happening. It was just like the previous years that I told you, inshallah. So nothing to worry about. I come back, brothers from ILF, amazing dudes. You know,
So you
know, they give me
graduated
some
and everything
time,
now.
graduate everything.
Do they have
Alhamdulillah.
do they have a ceremony and stuff where they give you the red hat and all that?
No.
None of that. You
What's
just,
interesting thing is though, the Bengali students, a lot of them have the highest GPAs
okay.
in Egypt. This is Shaykh Thanallah. So yearly he used to go when he graduated. He went to Azhar. Actually has a ceremony or like a welcoming thing for them because of their studiousness.
So wait,
that's
you
real talk.
I remember toward the end though, you did a lot of studying here, and then you went back for the exam.
I don't think that was towards the end. That was in my first semester of the last year.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
that was
back to the end.
Yeah. So toward the end, I'm considering the second half.
Oh,
of the
I
year.
mean, I'm talking the end of your whole journey. I mean, that was like
no,
because
the
the first semester of the last year would mean the end of your 4-year journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
So
you
that's what we just.
because I remember
previously-
like you were in isolation mode. You were like, "Hey, I can't really hang out. I'm studying." 'Cause
that was a little phase of that
Yeah.
first portion of that year, the fourth.
Oh, so
year,
you
yeah.
were here. 'Cause it's common. You hear that from Azhar is that like they'll be doing like a lot of their studying here and then just go back for the exams.
Yeah, once they register and everything like that, they have their own way of studying and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty cool too. You know what I'm saying?
I think the
It's
more
doable.
advanced you go, the options get a little bit broader.
It's very doable.
Yeah.
It's very
Okay.
doable. But obviously you have to have some of that discipline. And you just got to know how exams and
But
everything work.
again,
And-
isn't that like kind of defeating the like?
no, it depends, dude. Because some people are really good exam takers. They have the tools and how to use them. So going back for exams, I obviously get notes from people that are back in Egypt. They know what to look for on the exam. A lot of them are just there. Obviously, look, straightforward. There's some people there to pass the exam, and that's the situation they're in. They accumulate what they need to get from it. And some people study like that, dude. Some people study like that.
I think it only happened for the ending classes because you build a rapport with teachers and the environment, and like you have the tools necessary to read the material. So if you have usually it's questions about the material until you can ask in correspondence.
Actually, you should ask it more as one of those type of people.
Okay, so let me ask you this: so like at University of Medina, right? They have this whole thing where you go to the classes during the day, and then after like Asr, they spend their classes at Masjid Nabawi. So you're doing double, right?
That's
so
amazing.
don't you? So I figured like. Because if I feel like if you're doing studies here in Egypt, in your Azhar studies here,
you don't get that environment,
right?
Unless you have like a Shaykh Muhammad Imam,
or you're getting tarbiyah from Mahin and Mort.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, there's a lot.
Not like, but I guess if you have Shaykh Muhammad Imam, that's sure.
Yeah.
But not everyone has that access, right? Or they know about that, right?
That's one thing I really, subhanAllah, in a good way envied. You know that good type of jealousness of the brothers from Medina, bro. They just spend their days studying in Masjid Nabawi and in the durus of some of the shuyukh, just like that's something else, But it's,
because like Yusuf Rios talks about how like because he was at Masjid Azhar, there's like a Masjid Azhar course.
Yeah,
that's because that's where Sheikh Ahmed Taharayan was at, right?
Yeah, no, he was at the university too. Yeah.
Okay.
But again, that's like a whole other segment that I want to talk about of the classes that happen in the. So the university is on one side, and then the masjid's connected to it.
Right.
The masjid has its own schedule put up every month or every few months of all the classes that are taking place and what books are finishing in the masjid. Those are amazing classes too. You can, if you were to spend 1 year there, if you already knew Arabic and just go and make your rotations through those classes, those classes were heavy, dude. I used to love going to those classes too, man. And since you mentioned Sheikh Taharayan, man, Imam Suhaib Webb, I still remember, dude, he took us to Sheikh Taharayan's masjid where he teaches at night. Little small masjid, bro. We visited his house, went by his house basically, gave him salam and everything, and then to the masjid he would teach after Isha. He would be teaching Nail al-Otar over there. It's a book on comparative fiqh, and we can get into that, but it was really, really beautiful, man. Learning from him and just see that this tiny masjid was probably like 4 times the size of this part of the basement. And you had a bunch of awesome people in there. Some guys I remember we met like 2 guys that were taking, like on a PhD level. It was beautiful. But everyone's together on the Sheikh Taharayan. Those were beautiful days. But that's kind of the taste that you would get in the Masjid of Azhar. So a lot of brothers, what they would do is they would go half or 2 of their classes they would take in the university, but they would be following a class in the masjid and they'd be doing that class instead, So we would mix and match and stuff too. I think the Masjid of Azhar is a whole different thing we'll get into. Just remind us, maybe we could do a segment on that too, inshallah. But so a lot of people, they studied in the States. I did that for a while and then went back for exams. But then when you come back, you had some very awesome brothers that are really, really helping you set up. So ILF basically wanted to start some classes. We would sit down and have some awesome meetings with, Abdul Sattar was there, awesome guy. Abdul Sattar Ahmed, amazing dude. Wasif Khan, Faisal Khan, Salman Mujahid, AK, all these guys, man. I'm just remembering all these guys. Shiraz Khan, just sitting down and almost like reacclimating me to, like how, just using like simple technology and this and that, and like giving me a lot of time sitting in the office and just working and putting together a curriculum, right? So what we planned was putting the Azhar high school curriculum in ILF, right?
Okay.
So then I was working with ILF for approximately a year. And it went pretty well. We were doing some cool things. In
Does ILF still exist?
ILF just rebooted again. Yeah.
They're
ILF just
Islamic
rebooted.
Learning Foundation, and are they out of Bolingbroke or?
I think they're based out. Oh man, don't.
Are they
I thought in the city. I think
or
Bolingbroke is Furqan.
No, they're not. They're
The Oak Brook Terrace, no?
If anybody knows that in the comments, they can mention. But I think
Don't we have some guy who's part of ILF?
they have an office in Lombard, I think.
And their main thing is
But is it by Masjid? The Masjid in
Masjid
Oak Brook Terrace
the
Masjid?
Oak Brook Terrace Masjid, the ICNA building, they utilize it. I don't think that's their base and their hub. Maybe I don't know. I don't want to speak, but I remember when Sheikh Rios was here.
Yeah, this is like a madrasa or what?
No, it's not a madrasa. It's a seminary, and just check out their website if you guys want. But their vision, if I'm not mistaken, is to set up like a seminary of people that can study online and study in person. Shaykh Yusuf Rios is spearheading it. I think he's the main sheikh that's conducting the classes there. And just teaching classes in Arabic. Also teaching Arabic. A book that they came up with is really awesome. Dr. Arif Hussein and some other guys put that book together. It's called Revelation Revealed, but they probably updated it. I don't know, but they're doing some really cool things. Cool. And they got Shaykh Yusuf Rios. I think he's the main man as far as the teaching is concerned, obviously. So those guys were amazing to me. They set up some classes with me. We did a program, of like the Imam series, just to get people acclimated to ILF and just put stuff out there and like content out there. Was doing classes. I was doing it. They set up a cool class for me in Islamic Foundation North, where I was doing something called tea and tazkiyah, where you basically was purification of the soul subjects, and it would just chill with like chai and everything there. It was really cool setting up things at IFS. Brother Junaid Ahmed, awesome guy who was active at IFS. He kind of got me on the khutbah role there and giving darses there. So these guys were doing everything they can just to get me reacclimated into just teaching and getting my feet wet, and Allah preserve them, man. They did a lot of work for me, dude. And then Zain Hussein, I can't forget him. They was like, bro, you need a scheduler. And they set up this guy who's going to be like my scheduler. And like, we shared and I was kind of overwhelmed because these people made me realize, like, and gave me more confidence. Like, it's cool to have a team like pushing you doing something, and they're not just telling you to do it. They have like supporting staff doing stuff for you, And it's not like I was making the shots or anything. Yeah. That was not my thing. It was just beautiful to see a group of brothers that have a vision, and they invested in you, so you have that sense of responsibility. But it was never like I've ever felt with those guys like, oh, these guys are really doing me wrong. Those guys were just so amazing. Like, I can really say that. So what happened was, obviously there was some monetary issues, and like on the ILF side, like all other organizations have, is normal, in ICNA, and they kind of had to put it on hold. But those brothers were so beautiful and amazing. They're like, man, we got to live up to our contract with him, and we got to get him some work somewhere else because he was with us. You know what I'm saying? So Abdul Sattar Ahmed, I still remember, man, he took me to IFS. I hope he doesn't mind me talking about personal stories. He literally was like, yo, I talked to the principal at IFS, and I want you to start working at IFS if you can. We'll try to find you other things, but at least so we can stick to our end of the deal. I don't want to break a contract with you. I want to break a contract with you. I want you and your family to be comfortable. So I talked to the principal, and, I got you an interview. So what do you think about that? And he was really nice. It's not like, hey, you have to be here. He's like, what do you think about that? And at the same time, they were still working with me so I can work with. So I temporarily was working with ICNA Relief also. So with ICNA Relief, I was doing like faith-based counseling. It was really cool to get into that segment because like I was like, I got to start working here because a lot of people, 98% of the people come in ask you questions. It's all about social issues, and they expect you to be like a counselor and a therapist and all that kind of stuff. So I'm working on these two things simultaneously, IFS and ICNA Relief, where I'm kind of like helping them out with that. They want me to just do faith-based counseling, and once in a while do some fundraising for them. And I was like, yo, I'll do anything to help out this initiative, and it was kind of like boots on the ground. I remember it, and people say this to me still up to this date. Back then I used to almost be offended by it, in a sense that like, oh my God, like what an idiot. Why would this person have this attitude? They would be like, dude, why are you working as like a faith-based counselor? It's not what you went to school for. Like, I kind of got what they were saying. I wouldn't really obviously rebuttal them, but I was like, yeah, we'll see. I like it. You know what I'm saying? And I have to explain to them sometimes, like a majority of the people that come to me, there's just something else in my toolkit, that I have to just put in because that's just a part of being somebody who studied abroad.
You're telling me the average Muslim in America isn't coming to ask you about the ahkam about
that's usually in Ramadan.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
About rebelling against the rulers and stuff?
No. In Ramadan.
Like the fixed stuff that you went to school for?
In Ramadan is usually just about zakat and fasting and that kind of stuff, But the rest of the time, dude, it's so, I still remember beautiful uncles, bro. They're so awesome because they're innocent. You Shaykh, you can't help me with my son and my daughter, or my son and his wife getting divorced. And I was like, no, dude, I can't help you with that. It's cool that they have high expectations of you, but at the same time, it's a very difficult situation on that level. So I'm trying to juggle between ICNA Relief and Islamic Foundation School where I'm at right now, and I'm working with ICNA Relief part-time, working with Islamic Foundation full-time, and he got me the interview and all that kind of stuff. It was really cool. It was very chill, and he's like, I'm just making sure I'm just keeping my amana. Are you comfortable? Are you okay? I was like, yeah, dude, alhamdulillah, man. And, I'm making my decisions. You're just helping me and all that kind of stuff. I like it. It's kind of where I grew up. I really didn't think I was going to be ever teaching at the school I went to. And again, people are like, dude, why are you teaching at a high school? And I think those things have to be done. Like, you have to be there sometimes. And I think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts you in those positions where people would always tell me, dude, you're too overqualified to work here. I was like, I don't know if I'm being overqualified, dude. I just need to know what the landscape is. I need to see what, children, I literally think of my students and my children. I was like, dude, I want to know what my children are doing. You know what I'm saying? I want to know what they're learning. I want to know who's teaching them. I want to know what they know. I want to know if they're losing their iman. You know what I'm saying? So it was something really dear to me. And the beautiful thing is, a lot of people know this, is working with schools and Islamic schools, and don't think I'm going to say something to burn bridges. Like, a lot of people, like, before I came on, I was like, dude, what should I talk about when it comes to like my work stuff? But, I think every organization has its dilemmas that is working with its issues. But let me just tell you, when you're teaching at a school, first thing is, when somebody is a graduate or of any madrasa or any school and university, if they're teaching at a school, even if they're teaching middle school, elementary, high school, don't try to, you don't know that you're being condescending. Number one, don't tell them you're too overqualified to be teaching here. That's a wrong thing you could tell one of your brothers and sisters, dude, if they're really putting their heart and their soul into teaching, because teaching is an amazing thing. So that's the first thing. The next thing is that, and I think we should continue this later. We should leave another segment because there's a lot more to cover.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But
like what?
One thing is that you realize that anyone that's there teaching, especially Islamic studies, because that's as relevant to me, but anybody else, when they're teaching at private schools, Islamic schools, they're not actually doing it for the money. They're doing it because they're doing it for the kids, right? It's like you see them as your children. So you're kind of put in a difficult situation because that there's many other opportunities out there. But once you're in, that's the dilemma. Once you're in, you can't leave. Not really for monetary reasons. I'm speaking for myself, maybe. Not really for monetary reasons, is because it's a responsibility thing. So once you're there, you're hooked. And it's a very, very difficult thing to leave that situation, because you're literally thinking sometimes, dude, I'm leaving my kids. I built up this whole rapport with family and parents. Uh-huh. Like, it's nightmarish to me sometimes, like the rapport you build with parents. Like, dude, if I have to leave IFS, like, I can't live with myself. I remember the 1 year I took off with IFS when I was at Islamic Center of Oak Brook Terrace. And my daughter was still going to IFS. But
this is the place you teach at right now.
Yeah, there's a place I teach at right now. So I'm teaching at Islamic Foundation School right now. And in the middle, after like 2 years, I took one gap, and I was the executive director, or basically just religious affairs. The title was executive director, but religious affairs, responsible for religious affairs at the masjid, and just giving durus there and all that kind of stuff. I took a year off, and my daughter was still going to IFS. But I didn't tell this to a lot of people, and my wife knows this, but I would hate going to pick up my daughter, because I never wanted to go through the hallways, because it's like, you see your students there, and the few times that I did, it was horrible, because students like, Brother Amir, are you back? And sometimes they ask you, are you back? And like the principal's like right there, are you coming back? Or Liz? And you're like, oh. And then you see other teachers, oh, what are you doing here? They're like, oh man, it's so painful.
See, that's how me and Mahi know you're a good person, because me and Mahi would feel nothing. Big zero.
It's not about get out of your kid, bro.
I'm done with
Show
you.
me the money.
It's not a good person.
Go talk to somebody else.
Yeah, I don't think it has anything to being a good person. I think
go talk to your teacher.
This empathy you speak about is very foreign to me.
Yeah.
Their hearts are black.
No, it's not. I know all these guys very well at a very cerebral level. Moore's not going to want me to talk about this, and he's not going to. But I know them on a different level, and they just don't. They show in a different way. Alhamdulillah. Oh, don't worry. I know you're nodding your head right now.
I go where the money is.
You try to put me on blast.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying you're a really good guy.
Snaps.
You are. He's like, snaps. I didn't want to be. No. But the thing is, guys, you guys have to understand.
Shaykh, you're messing up our reputation.
How did I mess up the reputation? I said they're really good
We're
guys.
like
I said deep down they're really good guys.
We're supposed to be the bad boys of the Muslim Dawah.
No,
scene.
he's right. Deep down, I'm a good guy, but somewhere deep down there's something there.
No, there
but
is.
I just don't feel all the time.
If I were to tell you personal stories about more,
the light is flickering.
Yeah.
Basically. It's just it's on life support.
Let me just say that I dealt with all of them on a very good level and on a very professional level, all types of levels.
Listen, if I helped you out anyway, most likely it was because I was a mutual benefit.
No, Mort, you're being too hard on yourself. It's okay. I'll save it though for later when I want to embarrass you.
So, but anyway, on the next episode, we're going to talk about what?
So let me just finish this one point.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, it's cool. I get it. I'm boring you guys.
We're almost out of time.
Yeah. No, because we don't want to keep the show too long, otherwise the people will start tuning out.
So one thing is that a lot of people, they see from the outside how much interruptions can occur. It's like a weird word I'm using, but bear with me. Interruptions that occur in Islamic schools or Muslim schools. They get disheartened. They think it's really unorganized. They think it's this. They think it's that. But there's a method to that madness, and there's a reason why that exists. A lot of it is the people. Like if I were to tell you the personalities that work at an Islamic school, at a Muslim school, you'd be amazed, and you really, really think like, dude, this person can be somewhere else, and this person is like, they just make things happen, bro. Like my children's Islamic studies teachers, like at an elementary school, like I have nothing but amazing things to say about them. Like amazing, right? So you start thinking to yourself, like, how come these people have been here for 20 years? Like there's some teachers that have been there for 18, 20 years. Like how come they never left? It's like, and then you start asking yourself that, but once you start teaching there, you're like, oh, okay, I get this now. It's one of those things, once you go in, it's like flypaper, dude. You can't get out, and it's very difficult. Like, I can't, like, think about me. Like, my brother and like all of his children, he has 6 children. They're all at IFS. I teach 2 of his older children. One is a freshman, one of them a senior, right? Like,
that sucks. There's no work-life separation.
No, I mean, it's not that. It's actually not that at all. It's not that at all, to be honest with you.
I mean, in corporate America, they always talk about work life and personal life separation.
That's the biggest dilemma we should talk about next time, where people try to think, and this is, please, Islamic Muslim organizations, please, especially when it comes to schools, do not make this mistake of talking to the staff or just talking to the school and giving them insight as if it's a corporation. Do not discuss, teachers do not even think on that wavelength. When you tell them, I've heard people say this before, even though they don't mean it, they say, and they come from a corporate background, they're like, this is the product, we have to give the product to the parents, the product that they're going to be satisfied with. When you say that to a group of teachers, it's like, you almost think as if they're trying to like bully you. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what are you talking? This is like the wrong place to have this conversation, dude. We don't believe that. Like, we're not like hardcore capitalists, and we don't teach knowledge
for capitalism. Why don't you teach for free then?
You know what I'm saying? No, it's a different thing. It has nothing to do with it. I'll tell you what
we'll talk about it next time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have a little strokey stroke to pick with that.
No, that's good.
Little nitpick I have.
That's good. That's very good. So, but the thing is that it's a weird. Teachers in Muslim schools are caught between a very, very difficult situation. They're caught in a world, naturally so, where numbers are very, very important. Obviously, they always were. But there's a culture that comes with that. There's a super capitalist mindset that comes to the application of a Muslim school, which is a dilemma. You could take the benefits and derive, but there has to be other things happening, and the money and the capitalist strategies inside of a heartfelt school, and Shaykh Amir Hasib, he calls it heart work, and I believe that like teaching is heart work. That's what it is, right? You can't mix those two, because now you have teachers that are caught in the middle that want to teach these children like they're their own children, but then you have one side that's treating like a corporation. You don't want to believe that this is a corporation because it's heart work, but then because you're doing it for the kids. But then the way organizations, and I'm not talking about my organization, I'm talking about all Muslim organizations, I'm not pinpointing, I'm just saying, if you find this dilemma, have somebody running your institution that is in that line of work. You know what I'm saying?
I would say this one. First of all, what I'm saying is teachers shouldn't be even in that conversation in the first place. It's not their business. It should be administration. The people who run the school, the people who are in administrative positions, they should be looking like a business and deal with other business people. Teachers should just be teachers. They get paid to do their hard work, to do that warm fuzzy stuff.
And so even that, I'll say this: I understand the business aspect of it, but I think even business jargon should be outside of like Muslim schools.
I don't think so. But you know why? I'll tell you why. And I'll tell you this very simple.
If it does, it shouldn't happen around the teachers though.
No, like I said, separation of teachers and the business side. But you have to, because without money, none of this is possible.
No, of course.
And so the only way. Wait, and not only that. Quality requires money. It always that way. As standards go up, it requires money, and you have to have a steady flow. Otherwise, projects like this never last.
So that's what I'm talking about. Look, when you say projects never, I get that, right? But man, I don't want to. Yeah, I think yeah, we should talk about. I have to choose my words properly, carefully.
We'll talk about it later.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because I think there's a really good discussion, but there's a lot of cool things that you learn, a lot of amazing people that you meet.
Sure, I'm not denying that. But I'm thinking is we need to be able to pay. We need to pay them what they deserve.
Oh, of course.
And that requires money.
Of course.
Right. So,
of course.
And I feel like the amazing people shouldn't be skimmed off because Muslims are too cheap to pay for their school.
I don't know if that's an origin story thing. I think that's wrapped up. I think that's a separate. We might get Habib. We should. Khabib
That'd be a great conversation. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Amazing conversation.
I don't know if that's the origin. I don't think that's part of the origin.
It's not part of the origin story, but it's kind of like the life after I came back from Egypt.
I think it's tied into why he chose to be at IFS and why he hasn't really left. It's because he has attachment and it's sentimental, and it's also a sense of obligation and responsibility towards the people that look up to him, and that bond that he's built with these young people that are going to go out and change the world and influence the new Muslim empire.
But it's this though, that you have classical texts, and we use some classical texts, right? But how you teach in a contemporary setting, right? That's a beautiful thing that I would try to, the way I teach my students, and this is the last thing I'll say, is I try to teach them the way my teachers taught me. Even though you're sitting around your teacher and he's teaching you stuff and he's making sense of it for you, how do I do that in a contemporary setting where they're studying physics, where they're doing this and doing that? I think that's where the love of teaching these students actually came about, that I can take that same knowledge and I can transfer it and make it very, very palatable and easy for them to digest and understand. You know what I'm saying? But I think maybe we should just stop here, inshallah. And
I'm just going through the comment. The only question someone had, I think this is the Saad Qadri, if I'm not mistaken, said, can Shaykh Amir post a picture of his learning board room on the Mad Mamluks website?
Yeah, I'm actually making another one soon, so I'll let you know, but it's not going to be Islamic related. Yeah, yeah.
So
it's kind of like mind mapping. I can give a sample of it. You know, it's not a problem. Sheikh Saad Qadri, if this is any Saad Qadri, but Saad Qadri is amazing.
If it's the Saad Qadri,
yeah, inshallah he is. I think
if it's the Saad Qadri, when will you grace us with your presence on the podcast?
Yeah, that'd be dope.
Because he has an amazing story too.
Of course he does.
Yeah.
By the way, if it is the same Sheikh Saad Qadri, I used to watch it. He made a YouTube video of an accident that he had. Near life ending accident.
Like the animation one, right?
Animation one. I showed it to all my students and brought tears to all of our eyes and everything. Because a lot of students remember him too. He used to teach at the same school I was. And they would always ask me, how's Sheikh Saad Qadri doing? How's Sheikh? So they all love him to death too, man, you know? So shout outs to him too, mashallah. He actually paved the way for me. Like he kind of changed the way a lot of things were there as far as Islamic studies teacher is. And it just made my job a lot easier. Because even in class, like, oh yeah, you're right. That's amazing, because Sheikh Saad Qadri used to teach us some of that too and stuff. So it's beautiful, man. He's an amazing person. MashaAllah.
All right, folks. Help us out on patreon.com/the Mad Mamluks.
Is it / or backslash? I was thinking about that the other day.
I think it's backslash.
/
Or /.
Yeah.
That's why we get paid. That's why we're losing donors.
Yeah. And make dua that Allah softens minds and Sims and Mahin's hearts to be more like Shaykh Amir, because we have zero empathy for any of this stuff that's going on. So make dua for us.
That's not true, guys.
Allah illuminates our hearts.
If they were to have origin stories, their persona
make
that they have right now would all go away.
Like Shaykh Amir's eyes.
Anyways.
All right, fellas. Again, themadmamluks.com/
Oh, by the way,
donate.
You need a clarification. Because some people in the last episode heard that it was too hard for you to be a Muslim, and they took that the wrong way. Can you explain to me?
It's tough.
Not hard to be a Muslim.
I don't know what to tell you.
Challenge to navigate certain things. That's what he means. Am I speaking for you? I apologize.
I don't know. It is pretty difficult, though.
Really?
I mean, Iman is fine.
The dunya is a sijin of the believer.
The dunya is we're in the West.
Believer.
There's everything. There's temptations
all
around.
He's not saying he has doubts on his Iman when he has it.
Okay.
Oh,
he's saying holding on to your deen is not.
We're not saying there's a problem with the narrative, okay? We'll see y'all next time.
All right, guys.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Some people got that. Some people didn't.
You driving tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yeah.